Listening to SMC Sports on 90.3 FM, WMSC. Got a lot to talk about today. But first, last night, and this isn't really about sports. This is just about America. USA women's team upset Germany last night. And I would call it an upset based on stats, really. Germany went in at number 1, U.S. at number 2. U.S. women's beat Germany 2-0. Boys, we're going to the final.
Yeah,
we're going to the final, baby.
We played a great game defensively against a very good offensive Germany team, and we're able to convert a couple convert the one nice scoring chance at the end to make it 2-0 to put it away, and also Lloyd's able to keep composure on a penalty kick to convert that, and we're going to the final.
We're going to the final. And you know what? At the very beginning, what I noticed was Germany came out right out of the gun.
Oh yeah,
played outstanding defense, ran up and down the field with the ball. They just played an outstanding first half, shut down the U.S. But when I even forgot who it was because I'm not going to try to pronounce German last names right now.
Oh boy,
that girl missed the penalty kick on Solo. Right there, I knew we were winning the game. Right there.
Well, right there, I was watching with Jim, who was over at my house. And I was watching with my dad at the time.
I thought you went to Wild Wings.
We did.
We watched the second half over
at
back in my place.
I would have just stayed.
Yeah, we wanted to, but we just didn't. Accurate.
We didn't have a great viewing, we were.
The wings were good.
Yeah, they were great.
The wings are great.
Wings are good.
It's wonderful.
My birthday is actually next week. I actually want my mom to go take me, and she's like, "But we just went to Buffalo Wild Wings." I'm like, "I don't care."
You gotta go for a big game though. It's just not fun.
But it's my birthday next week.
Well, yeah. True.
The food is really good, but if you find a time to go,
I'm sure the Mets will be playing. You can watch them lose.
Actually, no. I think they're on the road next week, so they probably will lose 5 out of 6 on the West Coast. They probably will.
Sounds good. But getting back to the U.S. game. There was two ways to look at after that penalty kick missed by Germany. It's either gonna, fire us up and we're gonna go say, okay, now we have to go win this game because, they missed their chance and the door's open for us, or were we gonna be a little bit rattled? A lot of young defenders that start on this team. Were we gonna say, give up another scoring chance right away and have Germany convert it and still be trailing 1-0? And sure enough, it didn't happen. We were able to dominate possession of the ball after that and draw a penalty kick with Alex Morgan. Carly Lloyd converts, and that proved to be the game winner.
Carly Lloyd, man, 3 goals in our last 6 games. She's been playing outstanding soccer. And now you look at it, I believe the game is tonight, England-Japan. Winner plays the U.S. on Sunday.
England.
Yeah,
that'd be an outstanding matchup. I'm just glad it's not Canada.
Yeah, actually, a USA-Canada final would be kind of fun.
U.S.-Canada would have been great, but the problem was we would have had no fan advantage.
Well, because our fans have been great the entire
It's
World
been
really
Cup.
interesting because a lot of
it's
US
been
fans
interesting.
We have packed the stadiums. It's been a sea of red, white, and blue.
But could you see? But could you see Canada being in the final and their fan base and their grandmothers just packing the stadium in Vancouver?
And then we beat them.
That'd be nice. But I'm just saying we would have no fan advantage.
Yeah.
It would have been like Brazil beating Germany last year in the Men's World Cup and them going to the final against Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been.
Too bad they let up 7 goals.
Yeah, too bad they let up 7 goals in the semifinal, which I actually kind of enjoyed that game just for the fact that, okay, you're the home country and you just got murdered by Germany.
It was, shocking. I didn't get to watch it, but I just saw the score afterwards. I'm like, well, I did a double take on my phone.
Especially because Germany is a team that I believe beat the U.S. last year, but barely.
It was a 1-0 game.
It was a 1-0 game.
In the end of the group stage.
And this year, the U.S. defeated Germany.
Yep.
So it's amazing how it's like you're Brazil, a team that was favored to go to the final, and you got murdered. What, 7-1?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing. But
and 4 of those goals were in a span of like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
I took a nap for about 20 minutes. It was 5-0.
Absurd.
It was absolutely insane. But you look at our women's U.S. team. They're going to their 2nd straight final, and it's definitely a situation where everybody will be watching. Because, you know what, for me, it's very hard to get into soccer. It's very hard. But in the World Cup, I actually enjoy it.
There's a certain feeling, as in the World Cup, representing your country. We do so much in sports as far as rooting for, a specific team for whatever reason you may root for that team. And it's just based off something, my family grew up with this team. But as for the national teams, you don't see many people saying, oh, I'm just a fan of some other random country for this. No, if you're in America, for the most part, everybody here is rooting for the U.S. So it's really, a unifying thing that we can all get behind one team that, and that represents our country and, represents them pretty well as going to the final in 2 straight years. So that's always what I've loved about the World Cup, and it's been fun. Outside of that, you're right, it is hard to follow a lot of the soccer leagues that we have because they're not well established at this point.
Now, obviously, if you're from another country, like if you're from, like, I'm just gonna put out an example, like Colombia or Brazil, that's gonna be your second team you root for. But at the end of the day, you're in America, baby. You better root for our women on Sunday. It sucks. I'm gonna be at work up here.
Man, you work at the worst times.
Man. I work at the worst times.
Man,
point blank, I work during Mets games sometimes.
Well, it might be better off you miss some of those.
Sean's getting a little carried away here. I mean, we just have to.
You can say something.
We just have to see what's going on.
I mean, your Yankees just lost at least 2 out of 3 to a team that has been playing great baseball lately.
I mean,
we can never win in the Angels' place. I'm not super concerned. I'm more, focused on how the pitchers have been doing because CC had a little bit better of a start.
I'm just glad
Nova was okay, so I'm dealing with it.
I'm just glad that Terry Collins finally showed fire in a post-game press conference last night.
Yeah. I mean, it's something.
He wasn't even angry after the game.
At least this time he was. He was not happy. So you take
USA. I believe that we will win.
I believe that we will win too. I believe this is a year where the U.S. could definitely pull it off. South Korea's not in it. Canada's not in it. Now England and Japan. Don't get me wrong. I'm not writing those teams off either. But if there was a year that I think the U.S. could win this, it's this year.
Yeah, it's right here, in this group that we got out of, which was a pretty competitive group. So
very competitive.
It was a good sign early on, and, we're supposed to be one of the favorites, and here we are in the final. So
absolutely.
It's good to see. And shout out to Christy Rampone for a player from a graduate of our school, Point Borough, so that's always awesome to see. Someone from a small school in a shore town in Point Pleasant representing a U.S. national team.
One of the leaders in goals in both, basketball and basketball points and, goals for soccer.
At Borough, yeah.
Yeah,
so,
something that...
That's why you got to follow high school sports. You can see these players before they're superstars.
High school football is literally like all I'm going for.
Yeah. Well, high school football is great.
High school baseball only because all my friends still play in Lyndhurst, so... Yeah. Now, I asked Sean this question yesterday. Did you know the girl on the U.S. national team? Or do you not know her either?
Rampone?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were aware, but she graduated before us.
Like years before.
Years
probably,
before
right?
us.
Okay.
The reason why we, as students from, this era, know about her is because Kelly Hughes, who broke the scoring record for both our school and the conference, when she broke 2190 in points, that was Christy Rampone's record.
Okay.
So she was going to come out to center court to meet Kelly at the time, but she couldn't make it. So they announced it, but that was the big milestone that really got everybody.
And there's big signs in the gym all around with the Olympic rings and the soccer ball and the other one. It has all of her achievements. So,
but nonetheless, I believe
legacy lives on.
I believe she was one of the only players to have over 100 goals and that many points in basketball.
At Borough or in the Shore Conference?
At Borough, but obviously that's our conference. So the Shore Conference.
Well, do you know what's the Shore record for goals?
I'm not sure what the Shore record is for goals, but obviously, for our school, it was definitely top 5.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've had good soccer, but no one quite like Rampone. We haven't been able to emulate that, that's for sure.
Right, it's something that, of course, 2 sports. I mean, we've had multiple athletes that have played multiple sports.
Oh, yeah.
But when it comes to succeeding like she did at that level, it's amazing. And I don't think, any other athlete can do something like that.
Yeah.
But, it was great to see someone that we both saw, like Kelly, take advantage of being a great athlete in New Jersey. Not only New Jersey, but in the Shore Conference, like you said.
Yeah.
And really perform like that, so...
When you take a look at this women's team, and I even said it coming right out of the group stage, for the women to go back to the final, they had to play better. I don't think they played great in the group stage. They won the group. That's great, but you know what? I don't think they played as great as they should have. And sure enough, they come out against, I believe the first one was Colombia. They didn't play that great against Colombia. They had a better game against China. And I said, to beat Germany, you're going to need to play your best soccer since last year's final, and they certainly did it.
Soccer.
Yep, and they certainly did it. It didn't look like it in the first few minutes because Germany went up and down the field with the ball, played great defense in the first half. Honestly, I thought the score should have been 2-0 USA at the end of the half, but their defenders were not letting up. And, Germany played a great first half, but we figured them out in the second half, and I feel like that's how we got the win.
Arguably 2 of the best goalkeepers in the world. And notably, they've been saying that, Germany's goalkeeper is the best in the world, but you'd have to put Hope Solo up there too.
Yes.
I mean, she played remarkably yesterday.
She played phenomenal.
I mean, not even you can't even describe the effort that she put into that game. And soccer is one of those sports where, if you maintain an advantage throughout the game, you have to score. And if you don't, it can turn around on you very quickly.
Yep.
And that's one of the things that, especially Kelly O'Hara, she scored the second goal for the U.S. And a lot of people, and of course in Germany, they would have probably complained saying, okay, well, that goal, was on a penalty kick that may have not been in the penalty area.
Yeah, at least they can't complain that it was on penalty kicks.
So that second goal was just a great play. It was just
a phenomenal play.
Yeah, I mean, it was.
Carly Lloyd has been on in this whole tournament. Like, she's been in on every play possible. She's had an outstanding tournament. If there was an MVP to give this at the end, if the U.S. would have come out and win, Carly Lloyd.
What she's been is another, creative player in the box is what we need. I remember the play yesterday when the game was still scoreless. Alex Morgan has the ball, no one to pass to, but I'll take my chances of her making a one-on-one move. She's one of the best one-on-one in-space players. He makes a nice move, but didn't have a great angle for the shot, and shot it wide. What we need is another player like her to be able to do the same thing, or be able to set up passes, and that's what Lloyd has been. And it's really sparked the offense a lot, and scored a goal yesterday.
Hands down. And we'll get into more soccer later on in the show. We'll have NBA coming up in the next few minutes when we come back from the break. We'll have some NFL news to talk about. Lots of MLB to get to, not just Mets and Yankees, but some other things as well. And I actually looked at the updated American League All-Star Game lineup. It's something that you guys are going to want to hear. 14 minutes past the 1 o'clock hour. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, Jim Rosa on SMC Sports on 90.3 FM. Back after this.
Hey, it's Jesse Leach from Kill Switch Engage, and you're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair.
$19 minutes past the hour on WMSC. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, Jim Rosa on SMC Sports. And so we just recapped last night's U.S.-Germany game, which I thought was a very well-played game on both sides, but it was definitely a game that the U.S., it was a must-win. You kind of look at it as an upset because they beat the number one team in the world. Mm-hmm. So, great momentum, I feel, going into Sunday. I wish them all the best of luck and bring us a World Cup, considering the men probably will never.
Rampone, bring the trophy to point. I want to see it.
That'd be great.
I could see her doing that.
Yeah, I mean,
we'll have to keep an eye on that.
Now, is it like the Stanley Cup where everybody just gets a day with it?
I'm not sure. They might do something like that. I know my sister actually got to meet Rampone at one point. I forget what the situation for it was, but got her autograph and stuff. So, she might come back if they win.
So, now we'll get into, I guess, a recap of the NBA draft, considering I only have a show once a week. By the way, you want to call in and join the conversation. The number is 973-655-4256. That's the number to call. You're on SMC Sports. So, NBA draft, obviously the 3 picks, 3 best overall went first, which was Karl Anthony Towns. He went number 1 in Minnesota. I thought was a great pick. Obviously, Minnesota 2 days before said, you're going number 1.
Yep.
So, D'Angelo Russell, I thought was a great pick for LA.
Awful
pick.
Atrocious pick.
Why?
We talked about this earlier, but, I just really, for a number of reasons, do not like the D'Angelo Russell pick to the Lakers. There's some things I can't put in words about what I don't like about it, but really, the whole trend in the NBA about, the devaluing of big men kind of, and the leagues being taken over by guards. I get that. Yeah, I love guard play. Guards are like my favorite players. I'm all for the transition to the guards, but I still don't think that we're at the point where we should be taking really a pass-first facilitating kind of point guard at number 2 overall and putting him on a team where he's not going to have much to work with. He's going to be on a pretty bad team this year, most likely, we're expecting.
Unless LA wins free agency.
Yeah. And then when Kobe leaves, everyone's saying, oh, well, he's the guy that can hand the keys to when Kobe leaves. How are you going to hand the keys to like a third-year player who's a pass-first point guard, who's not going to have much to work with?
He's a great passer.
I think he's going to get lost in this league. I don't think he's going to have a role for himself. I don't think he has his jump shot was good in college. I don't think it's going to be good enough at the next level. And I think he's just going to fall out and be a flop. I really do not like his. Like I said, I don't like him as a player. I like his skill set. It could probably fit somewhere else. I don't like his skill set as a number 2 overall pick, and I don't like it with the Los Angeles Lakers.
Well, you have to admit, Sean, he's obviously second best overall. Obviously, they were going to take him. So, Jahlil Okafor went number 3 to Philadelphia. Now, I thought that was kind of a stretch. I really thought he was going to fall to 4, but obviously in Philly's situation, you take best overall. Yeah. It's not going to do anything.
Well, someone they can actually get on the 4 would be good, and that's what they're getting in Okafor.
And it's Philly, so they're going to be terrible this year. So it's like, all right, let's not be as terrible. Here's the controversial number 4 pick. New York Knicks take Kristaps Porzingis, which I liked personally, but at the same time understand why Knicks fans hated it.
Yeah, it's a love-hate thing, you know. Knicks fans, you know, always the older generation of Knicks fans, surprisingly, can remember when this team was good. And
they were good. They were good the year before.
Well, I mean, championship.
Not last year, the year before. Oh, championship.
I mean,
okay.
Back when they won a championship, and Phil Jackson was, you know, a player on those teams, so they want, you know, when Phil Jackson said he's coming back to the Knicks, they automatically assume, you know, oh, he's going to get this right. He's going to be the guy that he knows what winning basketball in New York is like and how to do it, and he's going to bring us back there because it's the same how bad we are, and he, you know, feels the same way. And, you know, by doing that, you want to go take a player that's going to get on the floor right away, a superstar type guy. But, you know, I think Phil is rational enough to realize what he's working with, and I think he's one of the best basketball minds we've ever had in the sport. So, you know, I trust that he knows what he's doing and picked a guy who can hopefully come into a winning team when he is ready and be, you know, a contributor for this next team down the line when they are going to be relevant enough to actually have him contributing and be a playoff contender. So, you know, I don't hate the pick. I don't love it, but it's a path that they could have taken, and they took it, and we'll see what happens kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, I like the pick. I think Phil Jackson's going in the right direction. Unfortunately, he might not be around to see the finished product, especially if this team flirts with another 17-win season. But for the Knicks fans in the Barclays Center to just boo the pick, first of all, something in my mind is telling me that they went just to boo the pick. Now, a lot of Knicks fans were certain it was going to be Moutier, and others were certain it would be Winslow.
I would have liked Moutier. Winslow I love as a player. Winslow, I think, was a steal to the Heat. The Celtics.
Oh, absolutely.
The Celtics tried to trade up twice to get him. That's how much they wanted him. They tried one.
Oh, Miami for sure. At number 10 had the steal of the draft. But do you think he's going to be that good?
Oh, yeah. I think Winslow is a superstar in the making.
I could agree. But now when you take a look at the pick, personally, I feel they just went to boo the pick because I get why Knicks fans are upset. One, he's foreign. They've never seen him play before. But that's the thing. You've never seen the kid play before. This kid is over 7 foot tall. He knows how to move well. He's athletic. So
you know what you're getting with a lot of these European, you know, jump shooter guys. He's not very physical. He's going to be scared of contact most of the times. He's going to want to step away from the basket. He's going to use, you know, some fancy moves, and he's going to have a good jump shot. That's what he is. You know, in the NBA, they need to develop more of an inside game, so that's something he needs to work on.
Yeah.
And, you know, develop an all-around game, and I don't know how he is defensively, so there's some things he has to work on.
Defensively, he needs work.
Yeah.
And he needs to get bigger and stronger, too. But he's not afraid to go up to the top of the rim. He's not afraid to get close. He's a great three-point shooter.
Great jump shooter, yeah.
Great jump shooter, but he's not afraid to get close. But, you know, and what these Knicks fans need to understand is I understand they want a winner. But nobody they could have drafted, even Towns they couldn't have drafted. They wouldn't have went from 17 to 50 wins in one season.
It's a little bit of the Sixers mentality, too. Right? You do want somebody you can get on the floor. Give us a reason to come to next season. And they didn't exactly address that with the pick. And, you know, because I feel like they kind of assume, oh, you know, Knicks fans are a great fan base. They'll come to our games anyway, which is pretty much true. The
Garden's always sold out for Knicks games.
The Garden is automatically sold out no matter how bad the product is.
Do fans leave early? Absolutely, but it's always sold out.
Yeah, it's always sold out. But at a certain point, you know, that gets old, and the fans will stop coming if you know, they don't have something to put out there on the floor. But you don't have to address that with, you know, such a high first-round pick. They have other guys that they can get in free agency that are going to play. You know, this will be a new Knicks team that comes out on the floor next year, and there will be, you know, a few bright spots to work with.
Here's what Knicks fans need to understand. They need to understand that nobody that they could have drafted would have it's going to impact the season, but it wouldn't have changed a losing team into a winning team with one draft pick. Free agency is going to do that if Phil Jackson has the right mind.
NFL draft, yeah. NBA draft,
NFL draft, yes.
You don't see it.
But free agency is where that's going to happen, and that's where Phil Jackson has to be on the phone constantly, starting today, getting the guys that he needs to build a championship. Mm-hmm. That's what the fans need to understand. When they get in that relation standpoint, then we can all be on the same page with this draft pick, because it's not a bad pick. Do I think Moutier could have been better? Sure, but you won't know that for a few years. Who in this draft were you going to take that wasn't going to be a project in the next 2 or 3 years?
Unless you can get Karl Anthony Towns, there was nobody.
Even Towns is a project for maybe another year.
I don't think so.
He's still a rookie.
I think Towns is a rock-type player that you're going to be able to build, you know. He has so many skill sets he can use. You know, you're going to be, no matter what capacity you use him to, you'll be able to build around him in some way. I think.
Yeah, but who do the Knicks have to build around him? That's the point.
Nobody.
Exactly. So if he went to the Knicks, he would have been a project too. Winslow's going to be a project in Miami. Moutier is going to be a project in Denver.
Winslow, I could actually see being a legitimate option in Miami, especially they just signed Dragic. He's going to be a high volume shooter.
Yeah, but D Wade might be on his way out.
Yeah, if Wade stays, he'll also be a shooter. I think defenses are not going to be as keen on Winslow, and I think he could really have a breakout rookie year scoring the basketball.
My point is, it's very hard for an NBA draft pick to come in and win the MVP just like that. That's my point. Yeah. So,
and Porzingis is not an MVP type player. He's
going
to be a role player, kind of. Not a role player. He's going to be a scorer. He's not going to take the league by storm when he comes up, but he's going to be hopefully a piece to a championship Knicks team, which is far off, but
very far off.
They can get
a few more years. And I've said it before, Phil Jackson may either be fired or retired by the time that this product is finished. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot to look at. And he even said it himself, it's a 2 to 3 year project.
Yep.
But everybody else in that draft, you can't blame the Knicks for the top 3 going off the board first. You can't blame the Knicks for that.
Irrational New York fans is, what it boils down to.
Knicks fans need to understand free agency, I feel, is more important than their draft pick because that's when they're going to build this team.
Yep.
LaMarcus Aldridge is still out there.
New York is once again a spot where players want to go,
Of course.
Free agency is all about what do other players think about your team. Because with the draft, they have no choice. That's why we saw Okafor, dropping his Sixers jersey at the podium. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Because he's unhappy about where he got drafted, and he knows he can do squat about it. But
poor Craig Carton thinks still LeBron's going to go to the Knicks.
What?
He is certain.
That's why I don't listen to that show.
I love Boomer and Carton. I do. I was actually watching it yesterday.
Yeah, I listen to it every morning.
I was watching it yesterday at work, and for a good 25 minutes.
It's not good for actually getting sports news.
Sometimes it is, but they do tend to go very off topic. But yesterday, for like 25 minutes, Craig Carton was just talking into the mic with a megaphone. Some girl called in telling him to stop making fun of people, and he was still with the megaphone and the microphone. I love Craig Carton. But no, I don't see LeBron going to the Knicks. I feel he opted out to get a better contract. Now, if somebody offers him more money, LeBron could leave. He's done it before.
He's going to Cleveland. Back to Cleveland.
I think he is too.
He said he is. I mean,
he said he is. He just wants a new contract.
As much as people want to paint him to be a bad guy, he's not a bad enough guy to blatantly say he's doing something and to not do it.
Yeah, it's like Aldridge has a shot at the Knicks. DeAndre Jordan has a shot at the Knicks, but. You take a look at these guys, and Porzingis isn't going to be the guy hit by himself and Melo to win the championship, and that's what Knicks fans need to understand. It's not like if they've drafted Moutier, it would have been a different situation. Maybe in 2 to 3 years we'll find out who's better, but Moutier and Winslow themselves weren't going to win the Knicks a championship, and that's what Knicks fans need to understand. 30 minutes past the 1 o'clock hour. When we come back, we'll discuss more NBA, a lot of MLB to get to, a lot of NFL. Number to call, 973-655-4256. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, Jim Rosa on SMC Sports on 90.3 FM. Back after this. All right, 36 minutes past the hour here on SMC Sports on WMSC. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, Jim Rosa here in the studios. Just covered a lot of NBA free agency and really a lot of the draft. I'm not going to get too into the draft considering I'm not a big NBA guy.
Terry Rozier, welcome to Boston. I almost wore my Celtics hat today. I have it in the car.
But now, just to kind of promote you guys a little bit, I understand your website's, gaining a lot of momentum. If you guys want to talk about that, you're more than welcome.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for the opportunity to do that. But NJSportsReport.com is what we've been working with, and it started out really just me and a blog that I started on WordPress, a free account. You could just log in and start writing stuff. And I never thought it was going to take off to anything. It was just something that I'll write about a couple games, see what people think. It was never going to be big. But then Jim came along, our other reporter Ryan came along and said with us working as a team, let's get off WordPress and let's make your blog look like an actual website, and let's try to compete with these other guys like SSN, and let's actually try to be a force that people go to read. And I was on board right away, of course, and so were they. And now here we are, all working, covering games. We still have a lot of work ahead of us, but I love the direction we're going, and it's been unreal to be able to have this experience.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, we have, we obviously all of us have the passion for it. It's just getting out there, getting the equipment that we need, and being able to really go out there and do the best that we can in reporting. But I think so far all of us have been on target with as far as putting the energy into everything, and the games obviously we love. So it's just something that really I think we felt like making this website because unlike professional sports, for high school sports at least, we can go out there and we can help the community and the local athletes. So
yeah, and I feel like I've learned a lot with working with this because I started it by myself, and all I knew how to do was do the articles and put them up, and I didn't really have any pictures that I would ever do because I couldn't get them off my phone and whatnot easily, and it was just basic stuff I was doing, and I knew how to do that stuff, but I've learned a lot more as far as what it's actually going to take to build this into what we need to. And I think everyone here that's with us with the site and anyone that might be joining is on board with that. So we have a set destination for where we want to get, and I think we can easily get there. Our first step is getting off WordPress sometime soon, hopefully. Or
aren't you guys off WordPress already?
We're not off of it, but we made it look like we're off of it.
So like the regular website is now in place.
We're still the old link to my website used to be my WordPress username, which was Sean Shore Conference Basketball.
And that changed.
.wordpress.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, which obviously clearly gives away that it's a WordPress. Now we're just njsportsport.com. But what you're looking at when you go there is still a WordPress blog technically, but it looks a lot better than what it used to look like. We have some more pictures up. We have the header looks a lot different. So there have been improvements, and now we have for the first time ever we're doing pictures, video, interviews. So all that stuff.
I was able to get a good camera and everything, so it's good having someone who can take pictures, like myself, and of course, we all pretty much. I mean, what do you say? We all take turns writing usually, or it depends on the event usually.
Oh yeah, baseball. What we were doing, which is fun, was splitting up the games, and we'd have days where we'd be all going to different games. So, I always felt cool to kind of be in the field, and I was always working with you guys. So, we'd all go to separate games, come back home. I'd work on my story, you'd work on yours, Ryan would work on his, and we'd get 3 articles just like that, bam, 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 onto the site, and all of a sudden.
And I wanted to talk to you because this is something interesting to mention. I've talked to people from other sports. I mean, other states. Sorry, like New York, Pennsylvania. I have family and stuff there, and it's the community of particular the sports we cover in New Jersey is so great, and there's nothing like Sean, how they have NewJersey.com. Mm-hmm. Other states, it's not easy to locate the information like that.
Yeah.
So for the state or the...
Yeah, for the state, we have, if you go on NewJersey.com, they actually have a whole link for high school sports, which I'm sure, a lot of people know about. But it's interesting because they cover professional sports, they cover college sports, and they cover high school sports like we do. But really, it's great because it shows that, on a whole, that the sports are just so great in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And that a lot of people can easily follow it. So it's something, that we saw all these, reporters and these websites that were being created, and we said to ourselves, well, why don't we start something similar to that? And I think where we're really excelling is at, getting good pictures, getting good interviews, and that's something that Sean, of course, started to excel at, and he taught me some things. So it's helped us a lot.
And you take a look at, the opportunities that are in front of you, and Ryan says this all the time, and it's really true. And the opportunities for this are really endless because it's it's a league where there's no set the league meaning NCSIA and all the high school sports. There's no set definitive one media that's covering it. With the NBA, you have it's NBA and ESPN has like a multi-billion whatever the hell contract, and and so you're going to get your NBA stuff on ESPN and then TNT. It's such a big world when you're talking about these big time media companies. It's such a vast thing, and now that in high school it's just whatever's out there. People the fans want us to be doing this in a sense. They want information out there. We've had parents come up to us and say, thanks for writing about our kid. It's good. He did something great and nobody was paying attention to it. And you guys, mentioned it. That's great. Or, thanks for doing that. And I think that's awesome. And that's been one of my favorite parts about this is, the fans really they're in a need for this information. You know, I have NBA.com up on my laptop right now because we were talking NBA. It's so easy to get. I have 5 things right here that I can read from and get all my information. I can't do that for high school sports.
Yeah.
And
nobody writes about first string pinch runners anymore.
Yeah, but you know, hopefully you can do that a little bit on Source Sports Network, and you can do that hopefully to a bigger capacity on njsportsreport.com as we continue to grow.
No, I like the website. I like what you guys are doing. I've listened to countless interviews of yours on SoundCloud. Very nice. Somebody's got to teach you how to use a Zoom, but other than that, you're doing pretty well for yourself.
I need to get a Zoom for myself for the.
Certainly something we can invest in. Yeah.
If you 3 went in on it, you guys could actually pull off getting a Zoom. It's not that much money when you put 3 together. Maybe like $80 a person, really.
Yeah.
It beats 300 by one.
I'll tell the story. We're working on getting some nice shirts and stuff with the logo on.
Yeah.
Because we were at the Shore Conference Championship was at Tom's River North after being rained out.
Mm-hmm.
And it was CBA RBC. CBA wins for the 2nd year in a row. Me and Jim are getting ready to go on the field when the last out is made because we know it's just going to be a swarm for interviews. So we're trying to be there first. So we're getting ready to go on the field.
You were those guys.
Yeah, we have our passes. Jim has his the lanyard, so it's visible. Mine was just in the pocket, so no one questioned.
You would have been the guy to be tackled on the field.
Yeah, nobody really questions it. But if I did have to get questioned, I would have had to take it out, which would have been a bit of a process. But we never got to that point. And one of the CBA pitchers, Kenny Campbell, who his dad's a great guy. I've talked to him. He loves our coverage, and Ken is a great guy as well. Kenny Campbell pitched 5 scoreless innings against what was a good RBC lineup to carry CBA to the win. So
and this is Red Bank Catholic?
Yeah.
Okay.
So clearly, that's the guy we want to interview. So Jim does a great job pulling over Campbell. We're going to do a video interview. So we have them standing side by side. I'm going to film and they're going to talk, and then we're going to put it on the website.
Very nice.
We started out with 2 seconds. I think a guy from the Asbury Park Press. I don't want to even say where specifically he's from because I don't know 100%. I don't want to call him out. But some reporter from somewhere comes screaming over at us and, hey, can we get him? We need Campbell. We're writing on a deadline. We're doing all this. You guys aren't anything. And, it's cool to be able to say.
It's amazing the deadlines for these guys.
Yeah.
That's something that we've learned, even at the high school level.
Newspaper has big deadlines.
That's what we've, and I know our buddy Ryan, he was sitting there up in the booth, and there was a couple reporters next to him. And again, I don't know where they're from exactly.
Yeah, it could have been NJ.com, Varsity Aces, all that stuff.
But it's amazing how right after the game ends, they just paste an article together, and they have, you work for. That's the great thing about us being a company now. But before, all 3 of us, you could say we're all like freelance and trying to get together to put all of our stuff together. And it's a great thing to be able to say, hey, even though we don't have deadlines, we certainly put a lot of effort into the work. And I think that's a great thing, like Sean was saying earlier, in the factor that all 3 of us are still around their age group. You were saying you still have friends at Lyndhurst that play ball.
Yeah.
And it's great because a lot of these guys, you either know personally or people that played with them or friends of theirs, and it's just a great connection to have because we're still somewhat young. Yeah. We're getting older, but we can still connect with all the players, which is a great thing.
No, it's definitely a great thing you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Talk about the experience with Williamstown and the fans you were able to connect with down there.
Well, before we do that, Sean, we do have to go to a break.
True,
yeah, quick break.
I never checked this clock. I need to check this damn.
The breaks are too short until you get past 45.
No, not too short. I just need to actually know when they're coming up.
And after 45, and then you get to 15, then it's like you have long stuff, but other than that, it's 15 minutes. But we'll get back to all this when we get back from the break. 973-655-4256 is the number to call. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, Jim Rosa on SMC Sports on WMSC. 46 minutes past the hour. Back after this. All right, 15 minutes past the 1 o'clock hour. You're listening to SMC Sports on WMSC. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, Jim Rosa, and now James Creange is joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me on. It's a real pleasure.
Anytime, James. Now, we have not been formally introduced, so just tell the viewers where you're from, what led you to WMSC this summer, and more importantly, because you're from Jersey.
Yes, I'm from North Halden, if you guys know where that is. And I go to school at TCU in Texas. But I'm working for the Jackals this summer, just doing concession stuff. But I heard about your radio, hope to get on.
Yeah, and
happy to be on.
Thank you, and thanks for coming on. I mean, I heard about you in April. Last I heard of it until 2 days ago. So it's finally.
It was a tenuous journey to get
finally
here,
finally nice to meet you.
Yeah, it's very nice.
You know, it because originally I thought you were a Texas kid. Glad to know you were a Jersey kid.
Yeah, of course. No accent, no Southern accent.
Jersey guys only on this show.
Well, I wouldn't exclude him if he was a Texas guy. We would probably just make a lot of jokes.
Not nearly as good.
But before we went to the break, Jim, you had a story about something about Williamstown or something.
Yeah, no, Sean, if you want to just start off and then I'll go from there. So.
Well, we were talking about the site and the way we connect with fans briefly, and how awesome it is to have fans tell us, that what we're doing is good for them pretty much, and that they're enjoying the coverage is always something that you look forward to. And one fan base I know in particular you connected with was Williamstown. You went to cover one of their games just casually at Tom's River North, which is a short drive from us, and all of a sudden it turned into this whole, connection that we had, and we were talking to them and getting a lot of hits on their website. So I know you can elaborate more.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I went down there. Of course, it was a, state sectional game, and it was just, unbelievable experience. I just went down there. Mostly, we started off covering just the short conference, and then, they were playing Williamstown in the South Jersey Group 4 bracket. So I went down there, and, we ended up getting a lot of hits from the players. And now my actual trip to Williamstown, that was a really fun experience because it's about 2 hours away down south. And these guys were just so happy to have the coverage because they don't normally get that kind of coverage.
There's not much in South
you have a
Jersey.
few South Jersey reporters, you have a few local newspapers like the Cherry Hill Times, those kind of things. But these guys were just so thrilled to have, coverage of their team. And there's a lot of great players, and I was able to get a lot of great interviews from these guys. And it's one of the great things I love about amateur sports. It's just getting to know these guys early and really getting to know, their situation, their school, where they play. And it's amazing because, when you get into state playoff baseball or any sport for that matter, some of these drives are just so long.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for reporters and for teams and
I'd say.
teams in general. So it was just amazing to be able to, cover their game and just get the feedback that we did from these guys. And not even just the players, players, coaches, even the other people that make up their fan base. It was just amazing.
Speaking as somebody who used to play varsity baseball, we love guys like you. So,
Totally agree.
And you do something well, and I really didn't start varsity baseball. # first string pinch runner, but the people who did well, and I remember I had a friend on our high school softball team. They won their first state championship the year we graduated, first one in school history, and they were interviewed by Varsity Aces. They said they couldn't have enjoyed the attention more, just to be one of the stars of the game. You had one of the key plays in the game. Like I remember my one friend she made an error out in left field, and it was an inside the Parker, and then responded with 3 game-saving catches to help win the game. They said they couldn't love the attention more, and being reminded of how much they helped win the game. So for you guys to be doing that is definitely something special. It's definitely a great starting point for both of you.
Yeah, I mean, thank you. I mean, it's just great to be able to say, that we can go to. It's a great journey to go to all these places. I know me and Sean, we've there's times that we've gotten completely lost, and we've enjoyed. I mean, we've even trying to find things, especially because a lot.
How did you get to my house last week, but you can't get to a baseball field?
GPS. Okay.
Okay, yeah, we
biggest pet peeve: fields that are not at the school. Can we put baseball fields at the actual school? Because you'll drive to the school and there's just no baseball field, and you'll see someone walking around, and you'll ask them, "Hey, where's your varsity team?"
I could totally agree with that
and
statement.
They'll be 15 minutes away. It's great. We're not. I have no.
You have
way
some
of getting
fields
there.
that you're trying to find a school that plays there, and you have 2 schools. Where's the game being played at? The 18th Ave Athletic Complex.
I could totally agree with that statement because I played on a field that wasn't even at our school. Our football field was at our school.
Yep.
That's the field we graduated on, but the baseball field was all the way across town.
I remember. I don't know if Ryan is listening. The third of our reporters, but we were both covering a game, short conference tournament game at Wall together. I got there first. He was coming in second. he went to the school first because they don't play at the school. So he texted me. He's like, I see a softball and a football field here. Where's the baseball field? I'm like, they don't play. His next text, just like, oh, God, where the hell do I go?
Oh, my God.
And I had to try to give him directions. And
I can't believe I let you come on here and talk me into talking high school sports with you. I can't believe I let you do that. But
thanks for the opportunity.
I think it's the experience of actually getting to the places. We may enjoy that more than the actual sport.
Yeah,
we
it
had
makes for some
times
good
where
stories.
we, it was dark and we were in parking lots and we almost hit like 3 deer. But that's
do me a favor. When you two go up to cover the state championships in December, places like MetLife and Kane University and Rutgers, don't get lost because you'll never hear the end of it from me.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Those
Now,
would be fun.
shifting back to NBA because, James, when we were off the air, you said you were a big Knicks fan.
Big Knicks fan.
Why?
Unfortunately.
Why do you hate the Porzingis pick so much?
I think it's terrible. I think if you're trying to win now with, you get Melo to the
They
deal.
can't win now, I don't think. But
Well, I mean.
You're going to love fighting with him.
Yeah, I fight a lot.
2 years ago, they finished, second? And then last year, they finished second to worst. That's why, I don't think Melo's a superstar. I don't know what other superstar lets that team finish last in the league. But secondly, if you are trying to win now, when theoretically you should with this team, if they add a Monroe, if they add
They have to win free agency to do it.
They have to
win the free agency.
But you pick Justice Winslow. He comes in right away. He's a scorer. He's going to play good basketball. I mean, Porzingis is 2 or 3 years, and by then Melo's deal's up. So you're probably gonna
Phil
lose him
Jackson
anyway.
may be gone by then too.
I see. I also I'm not a big believer in Phil. You look at Phil. He was a great coach, but he came to those teams when they had Jordan, they had Pippen, they had Kobe, Shaq. I mean, he didn't bring those guys to the team. Not a huge believer in Phil.
Yeah, as far as building a team, it's going to be an uphill battle for him. But I think he can do it just because he's made one draft pick that's going to be a store-away guy for a couple of years. Doesn't mean I'm ready to shun him away. But I do agree. You mentioned Winslow. He was one of my favorite names in this draft. I love Winslow. So
yeah, I love Winslow. Him. I hate Jaren Grant. I don't think Grant's.
I don't think Grant would be great.
I didn't like trading. You're trading for a backup guard who's an unproven backup guard when you have a proven backup guard that you traded for him straight up. Mm-hmm. Not a big fan of the pick. But yeah, I don't like Porzingis at all. Sorry.
Is there something you just not like the pick, or is there something about his game? What you know about him? Because a lot of Knicks fans don't know a lot about him.
I just don't like the pick. I mean, I think he's going to be a good player. I think down the road he could be a really good player. But if your philosophy is win now, I don't like the pick.
Well, the philosophy that I'm going with is I don't think the draft pick is going to change the Knicks season around. Free agency could. They have to win free agency for this team to rebound this year.
I agree.
I don't think the draft pick itself is going to help you go from 17 wins to a 500 record in one season.
I agree. I think had they finished the season as they should have and lost those games, you would have had a better pick. You got a guy like Russell or Okafor, possibly even Towns.
If you get lucky.
If you get lucky. But, they fell to the 4th spot. That's where I would have traded the pick. You could get a package deal of 2 players and then another pick. I even like the Bledsoe trade where you get a starting point guard. You get the Suns pick at, I think, 13th. So I think there were options.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the Porzingis pick.
Now, do I think Moutier or Winslow could have been better? Sure, but we won't know for a few years. I feel like besides the top 3, actually maybe even the top 2 in Russell and Okafor, I feel were projects too.
Yeah.
I don't feel like there was any guy in the draft who wasn't a project, maybe besides Towns, but he's going to a team that I don't think is going to win this year anyway.
I agree. I agree with you.
I think the T-Wolves will be a lot better than what you were saying. They're going to be earlier.
We call him Skip Bayless here because he just thinks he's right about everything.
I embrace it because I think Skip is actually a great analyst, but most people would disagree with me.
Most people would disagree with you.
I do agree that I think the T-Wolves a year or 2 down the road are going to be pretty good. Don't think they're going to be good this year.
Yeah, well, I'm not saying they're going to take the league by storm this year, but they're going to surprise a lot of people.
Well,
yeah, they're going to have 70 wins at the end of the regular season,
they're gonna,
and they're going to lose in 7 in the finals.
They do have the last 3 first overall picks.
That's true.
Can't argue with that.
Yep.
So that's your rant on the Knicks. Obviously, that's your opinion. You're entitled to it. For me, personally, they're not going to be a winner this year, and that philosophy, I feel Phil Jackson went in the right direction. I feel with the top 3 going off the board right away, I feel it was very hard for them to screw up the pick.
Yeah.
If you look down the long run, you have to think it was a good pick. Obviously, now I don't think that's the pick. But realistically, I don't think Winslow would have helped them win this year by himself. Moutier wouldn't have done it by himself. Kaminsky sure as hell wouldn't have done it by himself.
Kaminsky's terrible.
I like Kaminsky.
Just the
Kaminsky.
thought.
I think that's a playoff team this year, actually.
All right, Skip.
With
Yes.
Kaminsky? Oh,
I think the Hornets with Kaminsky are a playoff
but they already
basketball.
have
Skip
Zeller,
before I turn your
they have
mic off.
Is it?
As we at the top of the 2 o'clock hour on 90.3 WMSC up in Montclair, New Jersey.
Hour.
Can I read the station ID without you interrupting me? You're listening to SMC Sports. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James. I'm already forgetting how to pronounce your last name. Creange.
It's fine.
And Jim Rosa. 2 Seans, 2 Jims.
That's not bad.
I just realized that.
The Sean and Jim show, WMSC.
Oh, man. So we're just talking about NBA draft and how half of us in the room feel Porzingis was a good pick. Half of us realize they screwed up. What are you going to do? It was Phil Jackson's first draft, really, being in charge.
It's true.
So,
It's true.
for a first pick, I don't think he did that bad. Personally, I feel every Knicks fan went to the Barclays Center just to boo anyway.
I agree. I heard you say that before, and I totally agree. I think, I would love to have been there just to boo. I think it's part of the allure of when the Knicks make a pick. But I think if they had gotten Moody, I don't think there would be booing or Winslow.
I could agree. I feel like it kind of maybe would have been a mixed reaction, but when and the poor kid, all he wants to do is play professional basketball in America, and he gets booed out of the building.
There's his introduction. Welcome to New York.
Boo.
Hope you can take it.
Even whenever the Knicks have, when they took Gallinari, when they took Mozgov, you get the same boos. I think if they had taken Hazan or whatever his name is, the guy the Magic took, I think he would have got boos. Anytime there's an international guy, nobody's seen him.
That's what I was saying. It's tough when you're coming in from, you have all these standout players in a college in America, and then you have a guy coming in internationally who has played professional basketball, and then you hear Duke, you hear Kentucky, and
exactly.
Going off your
especially
point,
these teams who were in the Final Four.
Exactly. Because
even Moutier played. He could have played at SMU.
He could have played at SMU with Brown. Yeah.
And he played very well in China too, and Knicks fans knew about him.
Yeah.
So. And Knicks fans were certain it was going to be Moutier. I was certain it was going to be Moutier or Winslow. I like Porzingis was on a lot of mock draft boards to go to the Knicks, but I didn't expect it, especially when the name was read. I was even surprised.
After watching years of Knicks drafts, I knew it was going. I
wasn't
Porzingis.
booing the pick. I was actually me and my father were hysterical laughing when we heard the plays.
But just to get back on drafts in general, I just want to talk with you guys a little bit about your overall opinions on drafts. Because, of course, we live in a very
what about him?
we live in a very media-hyped America as far as the sports world goes. So do you think drafts, like you said, teams have to build around free agency for the most part. So do you think draft...
For NBA, yes.
For NBA. And at least, it's not as much for football. Football, the players have more of a direct
Football,
impact.
they're going to build, like, point-blank example. I don't mean to cut you off. Tampa Bay, they're going to build around Winston.
Mm-hmm, yeah. But, of course, any franchise, in my opinion, any sport, I feel like the drafts are more for the fan base.
Yes.
Because we know, like you said, 2 days before you knew Towns was going to Minnesota. So you can tell right away, okay, well, if they're going to let the general public know about big picks, they're going to have their opinions about them.
Yes.
So it's more or less, you could say, for the general audience, not necessarily for the franchise, because as we know, you can't build a team around one person.
You need the draft to get those players.
Sure, but, the draft, I think people, sports fans like us, put too much hype on a single draft. Because it's one person per round going to a single team. Yeah. You need other players.
It depends
outside.
on the sport. There's been draft classes that you look at 5 years down the line. You said all these guys are in the same class, and they changed the.
And every year we say, okay, top 10 picks may not be as important. But look at Tom Brady. Look where he was drafted. That's
what
football.
was that 299?
Yeah,
overall?
it's so when we think about things, it's really college or whatever semi-pro. Even I'm going to say internationally, you're coming into a completely different league with completely different standards and a completely different media mind frame of sports.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to still present yourself and prove yourself in these leagues, whether it's the NFL, the NBA. So
especially the NFL.
Right, yeah. Especially
the NFL has the biggest draft you could possibly find.
Biggest draft and the biggest, short lease for any player.
One of the most underestimated drafts, I've got to say, MLB draft.
Really, it's true. Yeah, that's something people don't.
Yeah, I don't follow it.
I think the difference with the NBA draft compared to the other drafts is that once you drop out of the top 5, you're not really looking for a superstar. You're looking for those role guys that are going to be on your team. 6-7 years playing 15 minutes. I think that's where it's different. Where in the NFL, you don't look for that until the 4th, 5th
myself
round.
and Sean were on a show this semester while we were training for our own. That's how I got this show.
Yeah.
Where each week was NFL mock drafts, and it wasn't like the top 5 picks, and then we didn't care. It was 30 across the board. Why they're going here? Why it's a good fit. And that's the difference with these drafts. Like the NFL draft, we were hooked on. I was at my girlfriend's prom following the draft that night. Oh my God, she hated me. But at least, like, I would have to say the first 2 picks, I wasn't off my phone.
Yeah.
And I could say the same for about 50% of the guys in the room.
Oh, I agree. I was in London, and I think the draft started at 3 in the morning or something, and I was watching along. Like, it's just, it's a must watch. Or the NBA, it's more, who are these guys that are going to fill my team for a couple of years?
Yep.
NFL, it's who's this guy that's going to change my team?
Yep. And especially with the first, it was like, what did your mock draft score come out to?
I forget. I know it was a couple points ahead of you.
It was a couple points ahead of me. If I had just switched, I think it was Kevin White and Amari Cooper, I would have beat you.
Well, you did.
No, I was so certain Kevin White was going to Oakland.
I thought he was going to the Jets.
Really?
He was going to the Jets for sure, yeah.
I thought it was I thought it was one of the biggest surprises to see Scherf go 5th and then Leonard Williams go 6th.
Yeah, I was shocked. Williams fell.
I was so certain Williams wasn't going to fall as much more as they could. Washington needed him.
Oh, yeah,
they
absolutely.
Him.
Another pick I hate. Another one of my teams that I hate.
This year's draft, I think, was the most versatile, Williams. At least for my team, the Giants, at least, because you
had a good draft. Jets won the draft. I thought.
It was, I know, a lot of people criticize the Giants picks, but I thought, Eric Flowers was a really good pick for the Giants.
The trade for Landon Collins was great.
That was unbelievable.
How Collins fell out of the first round, I don't know.
Yeah, I wanted Collins on the Cowboys, but...
By the way, me and Sean are big Dallas fans.
Big Cowboys
fan.
Well, my best friend at school is a Cowboys fan.
Well, how far is TCU is in Dallas?
Yeah, it's in Fort Worth, and it's about 25 minutes from Arlington.
Well, that's where I believe the old stadium was. Or Irvington.
Yeah, and then now they play in Arlington. Yeah.
I would love to talk to you about the college football rankings because I'm sure you have something big. I was a big TCU, and Sean knows a big TCU supporter.
I still don't think they deserve to be in the top 4. Though.
No, I totally agree with Sean. I think not playing a conference championship, it's hard in the moment.
Now, did you go to one? Did you go to the bowl game or?
No, I didn't. But I was at the Baylor game. I was in the press box when they lost, and that was.
Look at this guy. He's like a celebrity to us. You want to go check out our press box?
I'm in the press box watching Denzel Nieves go.
We were in the Toms River North press box. Yeah. I mean, it's like great. We think we're great stuff.
We'll take you to our MSU press box right down the road.
We just drove by Sprague.
It's actually the whole field's getting redone. Actually,
yeah, it's gonna be so nice.
It's gonna be a brand new nice field.
Is that what they're doing over there?
Yeah, I just hope they label our end zones for once.
Yeah, I want Red Hawks in the end zone.
Like, I couldn't stand that this year. Like, it's a great field, but
it is a very nice field.
The turf was built for field hockey and stuff as well, so obviously our end zones weren't colored.
Yeah.
If our end zones aren't colored this year, it's really going to bother me.
I agree. I totally agree. That's the problem.
Hashtag colored end zones.
It's nice going to, a bigger school.
It doesn't even have to be red. Just say Red Hawks. It doesn't have to be red or white.
What? It was just plain?
It was just plain green with a bunch of field hockey lines on it.
I kind of like the old school green end zones.
Really?
See, I like to have the purple of TCU with the white letters.
See, my problem is...
You guys have $1 billion turf.
We all grass. All grass.
Oh, man.
You see, I would like all grass.
Turf. You're a speed option team. You need turf.
Yeah.
I would like grass.
Nice,
my problem with the field is my problem with the old field because you had all the field hockey lines on them. I couldn't tell where the end zone started. I couldn't tell.
Is he in? No. Yes.
No. Yeah. What do you mean? Is it the one touchdown? Yes.
Satesh got having nightmares about that.
I'm in Satesh's class this year. This is going to be fun.
That should be interesting.
Do you watch TC baseball too?
I do, yeah. Final Four this year.
Yeah, that was a really good year for them.
I actually stayed up and watched the 16-inning marathon.
That was a great game. Yeah, I was up. I was down the shore watching that. It was great.
Yeah,
I was up in the press box in Omaha.
Once again.
Who did they play in that game again? It was TCU and...
It was... Oh, wow. Now I'm totally blanking out.
I'm blanking out, too, but I feel like the team just gave up.
It was Florida State, I think.
No, Florida State played Florida. In the
or North Carolina State.
Yeah, I feel they just gave up at the end.
Yeah, it was bad. I mean, they never should have scored that winning run.
No, they never should have scored.
Never should have.
The ball should have never gotten past third, and the ball shouldn't have been dropped at the plate.
Exactly.
So I feel like they all gave up.
It's amazing what that program's been able to do, though. Because even in New Jersey, we have so many, just like you see a lot of random just TCU supporters. And it's like what they've been able to do for college baseball.
Because our D1 teams aren't good at anything.
Well.
I mean, I agree with what you're saying, though. You look back 10 years ago when they're in the Mountain West Conference, and I don't think anyone really knows who TCU is. Now, when I tell people I go to TCU, they know what school I'm talking about.
It's by far become, over the last 10 years, a bigger baseball school. And it's at least spreading out east. Yes. I don't know about on the West Coast, but I know here, you see, even in our school, even around our area and the shore, you see so many people with TCU stuff.
Yeah. Well, because we broadcast, or ESPN broadcasts a lot of their games over here.
Yeah. Do they?
Yeah. TCU's always on TV when I check now. Because TCU was in the talks of the Final Four, what was your opinion on the college football playoff? Did you like it? Because personally, for me, I loved it.
Yeah. Oh, the playoff in general.
The playoff in general.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Yeah. I thought it was a long time coming.
Because in my own opinion, and this has to be true, Oregon and Ohio State would have not even been in talks of the final if it was a regular national championship.
Agree.
Because Florida State wouldn't have fell to 3 if they were the defending champs, which they were. And obviously Alabama's number 1. It would have been Alabama, Florida State.
Yep. I agree. I don't like the talks about it going to 8 games. I like it sticking at 4.
I like the 4.
I don't think these guys are really built to play, those extra 3 games.
I would like 6, to be honest with you.
I think 6 teams.
6 would be fine.
6 would be good. 8 would be pushing it for now.
6 would be fine if you have the 2 versus 6.
I understand what you're saying about how maybe you shouldn't have gotten in, but I definitely think you guys scored, what were you, like, 2nd or 3rd in points?
Oh, yeah. You can't tell me you would have loved to see an Oregon versus TCU
because the
game.
quarterback, especially the quarterback matchups.
Yeah.
But now you can't complain about the Rose Bowl matchup, though. Oregon, Florida State.
What they did to TCU.
Definitely not. Even though I think Winston's going to be the bust, the next Jamarcus.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for someone agreeing with me. Yes, I like this.
I think he'll have a good rookie year. I'm not saying he's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback.
We argue just like every week on
me and Sean have a bet based on stats who's going to be better, Mariota or Winston. Loser has to take the other out to dinner when we get back from the winter break.
Can I throw my hat in the ring for Bryce Petty?
I like
really.
Yeah, I think he was the best quarterback in the draft. I said it all along.
I think he's the second best. Mariota's
he's going to be. Well, he's a project going in the Jets
definitely.
camp.
I wanted him going to the Broncos, where he could sit behind Manning for 2 years, because he's the kind of guy that needs to sit 2 years, 1 or 2 years, learn the offense.
Yeah, I really like Petty.
I feel like in Bryce Petty's case, it might be something like a Matt Sims situation, where he's not going to get any playing time and they're going to drop him to a bad team. Matt Sims has all the capability of being a starter in Buffalo.
I think he's going to start.
I think
Rex Ryan loves him.
Rex Ryan loves him. EJ Manuel ain't cutting it. Was it Matt Castle was built to be a veteran backup?
Yes.
It's going to be Matt Sims.
Yeah, I think Castle could start there.
It's going to be Castle or Sims.
I think by week 8 at least it's going to be Sims.
Especially if Buffalo's not playing well.
I totally agree with you. Yeah.
Do I think Sims could be the starter at the beginning? Sure. It's a long stretch. I think it could be Castle because EJ Manuel ain't cutting it at all.
No.
But Matt Sims, it could be him. Watch him build his Hall of Fame career in Buffalo.
It's funny how bad that quarterback draft is when you look back at when Manuel was picked and you think that the first 2 picks were Manuel and Geno.
Oh, yeah,
it's terrible.
Geno.
Terrible.
Speaking of Geno, Craig is interviewing Geno right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. And I thought I was good at getting interviews.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I haven't had an interview on this show in 2 weeks.
Nothing lined up today?
Not lined up today because I knew I had you and Jim coming, so I figured, okay, why not? Let's
get some Williamstown baseball players on this.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, okay. We can get Ross if you want. Yeah, I'm sure.
Sean, just start playing PSAs while I jump off the roof.
Sure. Can I pick the roof?
Yeah, you can pick the roof.
Let's go.
We should go back to the MLB draft, though, because I think that was an interesting point that you brought up.
What about it?
That the MLB draft just doesn't gain as much following as other drafts.
No, it doesn't because you know what? You have the NHL draft in a stadium down in Florida, NBA draft in the Barclays Center. You had for countless years the NFL draft in Radio City Music Hall, and the MLB draft is in the MLB Network studios in Secaucus.
And it's 52 rounds long.
Yeah.
Who's gonna watch?
Who's going to watch? More importantly, who's going to be there? Half the picks weren't even there because they were trying to get into the College World Series.
Exactly. And part of the issue that I have with the MLB draft, and I only just found out that you can't trade draft picks in the major leagues, which
I didn't even know that. So
I didn't know that.
But it's also, too, they were saying with the Astros, there's some kind of clause in there. Like if you don't sign the overall #1 pick, there's some kind of clause where you can get additional players the next year.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how that works exactly.
They got, that's why they had the second pick overall, and I think the 4th pick overall, because you automatically get that second pick.
Yeah, I mean,
for not signing Aiken, it was I think the year before.
Yeah. Aiken got drafted again. I forget where he went.
Yeah, he went to the Royals maybe. But part of the issue I think with the MLB draft is that so many of these guys go back to college, or go to college, whatever. So what's the appeal in watching?
And you have a bunch of different draft periods. Like you have the MLB first-year players draft right out of high school. Then you have the Rule 5 draft.
Exactly.
You have all different sorts of drafts that will.
So what's the appeal in watching these guys that may never even play?
Honestly,
for that team?
I decided I would sit down and I would watch the first few picks of the draft, and I turned it off within 15 minutes. It was, and I'll be one of the biggest MLB supporters ever. I'm the biggest Mets fan in this room, maybe besides Jim.
Yeah, I mean me and him, but I think I
just can't get into the MLB draft.
It's crazy because we even see as proof Met fans right now, players are coming up and playing quicker now.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's because the dynamics of teams are not willing to rebuild. In the 60s, the Mets had like some of the worst teams in history of baseball.
From 1962 to 1968, where they were the worst team in baseball.
And it's crazy because we allowed, there was a 7-8 year period before, we got good again. That was 69. We won the World Series.
Yep.
But other than that, you see now the Phillies are having not even halfway through the year, and they want to call up Nola. It's amazing, and that's
for the record, I am loving the season that the Phillies are having right now. I'm
it's
absolutely loving it.
27 and 52. Every night I text Sean.
Too?
No, I'm not. But it's a shame what Ruben Amaro's done to that team.
Yeah. Every night I text Sean.
Sandberg stepped down. He gave up.
Yeah. It's terrible. It's
we could get into more of that when we come back from the break. 16 minutes past the 2 o'clock hour. You're listening to SMC Sports. Number to call, 973-655-4256. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange.
Yeah, got it.
Hey,
look at that.
And Jim Rosa on SMC Sports. We'll be back after this.
This is Mike Scoscia from Ministry and Rigor Mortis, and you're listening to WMSC 90.3. Thank you very much.
21 minutes past the 2 o'clock hour. You're listening to SMC Sports on WMSC. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange, and Jim Rosa. Did I say Jim or James, right?
James, yes. Yeah.
Okay. It's going to be...
Sorry to confuse you with the Jims.
It's going to take some getting used to, but I'll be okay.
There's always a big debate between Jims and Jameses because I had a friend when I was younger and he was like, don't call me Jim. And then I would tell people, don't call me James because I cannot... It's like, I feel like that's a formal thing. I like putting that on my driver's license stuff. But when it comes to like people calling me stuff, just a joke. I prefer Jim. I don't know. It's an interesting thing,
I don't really care either way, but I'm so not used to being called
Sean's
Jim.
and Jims.
It's crazy because you guys are just like you guys are just Sean. You can't manipulate it. You can't do anything.
You can spell it a lot of different ways.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
I like our spelling the best. Do you prefer what's your favorite Sean spelling?
SEAN.
Yeah, right. Like it's
like how my name is spelled.
Yeah, well,
Sean and Sean on the fan.
If you could change it, would you change it? Or?
No.
I like the spelling. Yeah.
I hate the people who like my teachers who have taught me for a long time still spell SHAWN.
I hate that.
And I'm just like, guys, I'm like, you're my teachers, especially the elementary school teachers who you've had forever.
Yeah.
So we just talked about what did we talk about? All the drafts. All the drafts. We've been on such a long break.
Boy.
But no, you're Jim. You're absolutely right with the MLB draft. I feel
it's not a matter. I guess you kind of like lost the point I was getting to. It's not a matter of why people don't watch it. I totally get the fact that it's not going to draw as much attention as other sports. The factor is, I think, even this is how we're getting better with the baseball draft. I think instead of people caring about it 5 years down the road, they're caring about the players now a year afterwards. Which is a good process for the draft.
Yeah, I mean, take Brandon Finnegan from last year.
Yeah, Brandon,
pitched at TCU, obviously, in the College World Series, and then was pitching in the World Series for the Royals. I mean, right away, you get these September call-ups, and I think you're absolutely right. More now than previously, these guys are getting called up a lot quicker.
Now, speaking of the Royals, we got to bring up the story now. First of all, the voting for the All-Star Game ends tomorrow, and I actually wrote it down right now. As of right now, 5. It got better. 5 Kansas City Royals will be in the starting lineup.
That's acceptable.
Now,
but Infante should not be there.
No, it should be Altuve.
Infante certainly should not be there.
What is he the most? Like a 280 hitter?
He was 208 like 2
really,
weeks ago. Yeah.
Highest in his career. He topped out at 272.
It was just a Royals.
He was I
wrote it down. As of 2 nights ago, the American League lineup: Cabrera at first for Detroit, Infante at second. It should be Altuve. Personally, Donaldson for Toronto at third, Escobar for Kansas City at shortstop. Cruz will be the DH. Perez will catch Kansas City. Obviously, you have Trout in center field, and then Lorenzo Cain and Alex Gordon for Kansas City, and the rest of them are very close behind. So when voting ends tomorrow night, and we could possibly have 7 or 8 Kansas City Royals in the starting lineup.
Blake Gardner should get in.
You know what? He's not going to be a starter, but you know what? I do agree. He should be. He should be on the roster. I agree.
Great all year, and especially great this past couple weeks.
If there's one Yankee you send in, I think it's Brett Gardner. You're absolutely right.
A-Rod deserves it, but the fans won't put him in.
No, the fans won't put him in.
Teixeira should absolutely be there.
Yeah, I give it to A-Rod or Teixeira.
Teixeira, he's always been a great offensive player, but his
gloves, one of his best years.
His defense is really what I think has really gotten me to like him.
Yeah,
because he's always been known, like back in Atlanta and stuff. He's always been known as a great offensive player, but his glove with the Yankees, surprisingly, it's been great.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
But Teixeira offensively this year has been unreal. He's usually a slow starting guy, especially when he doesn't have a lot of guys in the lineup around him.
June, July is really where he.
I don't know if he'll make it though. I think Prince Fielder deserves it more than Teixeira, but I think either one of those guys.
Well, realistically, I don't think A-Rod or Teixeira is going in. If you had to pick one, I think it's absolutely right, Brett Gardner. Absolutely. Yeah. But no, obviously one of those 3 would work. But for me, I think it should be Brett Gardner.
None of them might make it because I'm sure Betances will be in.
Oh yeah,
easily, and so
Mets are going in. Screw them. No Mets are going in this year.
Our pitchers definitely deserve to be in, but
some of our pitchers should go in. I feel
Jacob deGrom for sure.
deGrom, I feel, should go in. Now, are they going to go in? Who knows? But
let's put Wilmer Flores in.
What?
But we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about that later. But here's the issue:
Dylan G.
If voting ends on tomorrow night, and they reveal the starting lineups, and 7 or 8 Royals are in the lineup, is this the end of fan voting as we know it?
No.
It's done.
For me, yes,
so.
It's over.
No.
The MLB already took away 65 million votes before this.
It's over.
It's over. Fan voting will be done if they have 6 or more in the starting lineup.
See, everyone's complaining. Like, the main people that are complaining about this are MLB fans.
I'm not complaining about it.
No, I'm saying there hasn't been a lot of complaints from, baseball themselves, so they were just saying, let's see what happens if this pretty much.
Well, I think there have been some complaints where they say they have no problem with it being fan vote unless the game means something, which it does.
Yes.
And this is deciding who plays at home in the World Series. Yeah, Why are we leaving it to the fans?
Now, when we talk about the draft or whatever, it's the exact opposite when you talk about the All-Star games. NFL All-Star game I can't watch. NBA and NHL I can't watch. This All-Star game in the MLB matters.
It's a must-watch.
It's a must-watch.
Why isn't Home Run Derby the fan vote, in my opinion? And then
it already is a fan vote, I think.
It's not.
They have captains now or something.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, we'll get to that a little bit later, but just to kind of breach into it, there's no outs in the home run derby anymore. Now they're doing a 5-minute time limit.
Yeah.
And with every home run, a little bit more time gets added back on. I actually love it.
It cool, sounds interesting.
It sounds very interesting.
I just can't wait to hear Berman. It's always a treat.
I love
back. See, I'm so mad that Giancarlo Stanton's not going to be in it this year.
What that's going to do is just do the whole Josh Hamilton over again. He's going to get players like that can just hit home runs are going to get tired. Going into the the later rounds of the championship.
You're never going to prevent that.
Yeah.
They can.
I like the idea.
As a player,
but if this happens with the Kansas City Royals and it's a National League versus the Royals in the All-Star game, fan voting's over. In my opinion, they're going to pull the plug.
See,
I agree. It's not a terrible team to have voted in. It's not like it's.
And now there's possibility of fraud being involved. Now they're investigating that possibility.
Yeah. Well, I think MLB also has to look at it. Why are they allowing fans to start voting in early April or late April? I mean, why isn't this maybe early June to late June kind of thing?
Yeah. I feel like all these fan bases that are complaining about it, saying especially AL fan bases saying we want all guys in and it's ridiculous, all these Royals. This could have been easily prevented by if other fan bases just voted as much as the Royals.
Agreed.
That's the only reason they got here. Everyone's thinking all these Royals just popped up at the top of the ballot. It's a huge issue.
No, Royals fans voted.
Kansas City just has amazing fans that are dedicated and they log in every single day and hit that button as many times as they can.
35 times is the limit.
If you want to do something about it, you have to start doing that.
Ned Yo said it perfectly.
Get on Twitter and Yankees fans should be doing it for those guys or no other fan base.
But who has the time to do that? Who wants to sit and vote 35 times?
Obviously, they've got no lives, but you know what? Their team's going to represent themselves in the All-Star game.
Some fan base besides Kansas City has to have the drive to.
It reminds me.
Then the Royals start the All-Star game. I don't have an issue with it.
Sean, it reminds me of those MLB 2K games when you create your own team and all the players are overall 100 and they're all starting the All-Star game. This is what it reminds me of.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty as charged when that happens.
Oh yeah.
But no, you're going to take a look at this Kansas City team. They're going to pull the plug if this thing's over. And I'm not complaining. Ned Yo said it perfectly. Go vote if you've got a problem with it. But the MLB is not going to see it that way, obviously. Fan voting is over if 6 or 7 Kansas City Royals go to the All-Star game in the starting lineup.
See, baseball has been, they've sustained themselves, as being one of the best leagues that we have, right up there with the NFL and NBA, by, being good with their fans. They very rarely have lockouts. They've had a few, but they've sustained themselves off of having that connection with the fans. I think more so than the NFL and NBA has. And they trust the fans to vote for their All-Star game, or they have ways to interact with fans, and that's I don't think something you can take away from the game of baseball.
But don't you think fan vote then just becomes kind of a popularity contest as opposed to who's playing the best?
I think there's a lot of MLB fans that really know their stuff and know who to vote into this game.
Well, and I voted this morning.
And because there are guys that are creeping up the votes that deserve to be there. Like we talked about Gardner and those guys. I'm hoping they can
Well, don't get me wrong. Some of those Kansas City Royals deserve to be there. I voted this morning, and I voted about 6 of them in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying they don't deserve to be there.
You're supporting the cause.
Listen, I don't have a problem with the cause. I'm just saying fan voting's over if this happens. That's all I'm saying. I don't have a problem with 6 Kansas City Royals in the starting lineup. I voted this morning. I thought they all deserved to be there. Obviously, I put Altuve at second base, but, I put Lorenzo Cain in the starting lineup. I put Alex Gordon in the starting lineup. I put, Perez in the starting lineup. I put all those guys in the starting lineup. So it's not that I'm not supporting the cause. I'm just saying fan voting's done if they've got 7 or more guys in it. We got to take a quick break, guys. 30 minutes past the 2 o'clock hour. When we come back, we'll talk a lot more MLB, a lot more on this Kansas City Royals story. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange, and Jim Rosa on SMC Sports. Back after this. Minutes past the hour. You're listening to SMC Sports on WMSC. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange, and Jim Rosa. Talking a lot of baseball. We just discussed Kansas City Royals and the possibility of fan voting being shut down. If this, 7 guys in the All-Star game starting lineup, not obviously all these guys are going to the All-Star game, but they might all be in the starting lineup. So,
well, it's weird you say that, but if Infante doesn't get into the starting lineup, I don't think he gets picked for the All-Star game.
So?
That's what makes it weird.
Well, as of right now, I think Altuve, for one of the leaders leading a Kansas City Royal, has the biggest lead, besides Cabrera. So I think it's going to be Altuve.
I hope so.
I hope so, too. He's a great player. That entire Houston Astros team is just surprising everybody.
Yes, they definitely are. I'm surprised myself.
I'm surprised. Honestly, because my impression of you was you were a Texas kid, so I thought, okay, if he's a Houston Astros fan, this would be great. But no, you don't need to know a lot to know how good the Astros are this year.
My girlfriend's brother texts me every day because I wrote an article at the start of the year about how I thought the Astros were going to finish last. And
I thought they were finishing last. We did our predictions at the beginning of the year. We were on John Galetly's show. My prediction for the World Series was Washington-Boston.
How's that going?
Well, Washington is still leading the East. Yeah. Boston couldn't be worse.
But don't get too comfortable with that.
So. You have to admit, though, I hope we don't have to get too comfortable. You got to admit, though, Boston was a good pick at the beginning. It
could have been.
Yeah,
well,
definitely.
Sean said, he texted me and said, unfortunately they're winning the World Series, but, you were telling me that in the beginning about
Boston.
Boston,
yeah.
I think Brian Goudsworth picked Seattle. That's another great pick.
I also thought Seattle was going to be
or the Padres, 3,000.
Who picked the Padres?
I was the one we talked. Remember on John Galetly's opening day show.
We were all on it.
The two teams we talked about were the Mariners and the Padres, and we kind of chose which one we rather have out of those. And I was the one that just ripped the Padres and said that
I didn't rip them. I didn't rip the Padres. I said they were going to be a good team this year. I didn't see them being in the playoffs.
Yeah, John's the one that just took their stock and ran with it. He bought
now
the
one team that we ripped apart on that show, who was doing surprisingly well, the San Francisco Giants.
Well, they'll always just like.
Yeah, but I didn't expect them to be a playoff team this year, and now they're looking like they could very well fight for the West. Now, I still think LA is going to win the West, but San Francisco, they're not out of the conversation 2 weeks before the All-Star break. Now, what I wanted to talk to you, Jim, about was our New York Mets and how god-awful they're playing right now.
Yeah, I mean, I've never seen a team so, so split before, and that's really what we have right now.
Yeah.
In the Mets, we have day after day. I complain about this to Sean all the time. Day after day, we have guys going out there giving up under 3 runs a game. And in my opinion, in a baseball game, you give up under 3 runs a game, you should have a chance to win the game.
The pitching's been great this whole month.
Yeah.
And I wrote down a few stats for you. Let's listen to this.
Okay.
Mets are 12-16 in June. They've been shut out 8 times this year, 4 in June. Mets have lost 4 games when scoring 1 run, 3 games when scoring 2, and 7 games when trailing by 2 or less. We need to make a trade now. Honestly, you want to give up Syndergaard? Go ahead. We need a bat.
Yeah, no, I don't agree with that though. But I don't agree with giving up any of our pitchers.
I don't want to, but I feel like it has to happen. Now,
have you seen? I mean, Syndergaard lately has been great.
He has. I no doubt agree with that.
To jump in, the Mets fans that say that they should give up pitching are delusional. So
I don't know.
Well, you have to think of it this way. I don't want to give up the pitching. I feel like it's going to come down to that.
I do agree with you. I think the only pitchers that we need to get a couple bats. Syndergaard, I would, if it comes down to that.
I feel like Nice you could get value out of too.
Yeah, Nice you can get value for. Trade him. You can, like you said, Chicago.
Is he in a Cubs uniform yet? Does anybody know? Because last night was his audition, and he gave up 1 run. How many hits? 3?
Now let's remember too. We do have Zach Wheeler coming back.
That's the thing, though. You know.
But now I hear not until the All-Star break of next year.
Yeah, because he went down with Tommy John.
And then what are we going to do? Be out of it already by the All-Star break of next year?
I'm surprised we're not out of it already.
I know. I mean, I agree.
And the only reason we're not is because the National League East is just as anemic as our offense is.
And we can thank Washington for just playing horribly before they went on that 8-game win streak.
We could thank Atlanta for playing horrible right before we were going to fall to 3rd place, too.
And of course, we were 29-12 at home, which is something that I think no one expected.
But we're 11-26 on the road, and of course we got to go out west in a few days, so we'll probably lose 5 or 6 in that. He's enjoying this. You're enjoying our pain, aren't you?
Yes.
What would you say?
I'm on my Yankees.
These 2 games coming up.
These good positive headlines. I'm just sitting
If there's a series we got to win before we go out west,
it's this one. We need to win these next 2 games. We need to go in at least 4 games over.
Yes.
Because we lose 6, then we're 2 under, and then we come back home. I think we can get just staying around at this point. We saw teams like last year. We saw a bunch of teams that were 500 were able to make runs. But I do agree with you. If we do not have some sort of security in the offense, it's going to go nowhere.
Now, Sandy Alderson has come out and said he's willing to overpay for a bat, and I hope he means it by money. Because the way it sounds, we're giving up pitching. You want to give up Nice, go ahead. I'm surprised he's not gone by now.
The problem is, who are we going to give up and that fans will be comfortable doing that? That's going to be the question.
You know what? If I could jump in for a second. I think
go ahead.
My problem with the Mets fans and the Mets is that I think that there's this idea that we should get, as Mets fans, should get everything out of a player until there's nothing left, and then we should trade him and still expect the same value that you could get 3 or 4 years ago. Jonathan Nice. Who wants Jonathan Nice? He had a good game yesterday.
Well, he's had a few good starts recently. He's lost all of them. He hasn't won a start since May 9th.
We haven't given him any run support.
It's true.
The pitchers have had no run support.
But he's not the Nice of 3 or 4 years ago when you could have traded him.
Nice, I feel, has never been John Nice. His best year was 2012. It was his only winning season, and the Mets had their worst year in 10 years that year.
He's always been. He's a guy that could legit, I think, on a good staff, be a number 3 starter.
He could be a number 3, but you're not going to get a superstar bat for a number 3.
No, but we don't need that. We need to go as of right now.
We need a consistent bat.
Like I was telling you.
Here's my complaint to Mets fans.
This should be good.
What isn't your complaint to Mets fans? It's more of just like a long list of a declaration of why the Mets are horrible. That's basically
1986 it was a fluke. 1969 was a fluke.
Yeah.
No, but and you can attest to this, especially Sonia. We talked about this on the air before. We said previewing this season that at least you said that you accurately represented a good amount of Mets fans would be happy of just being around 500, a contending team, and just fighting the Nationals.
That was before we
for
went
the first
13-3 in the beginning of the year.
Which is what you've done. You're doing that currently. You guys should be happy about the season you're having and thinking about what you can do to maximize this year and move on to next year. Instead, all I hear from Mets fans are calling up Francesa every 5 seconds. Let's go all in and win this year. We need to trade Harvey for Chris Bryant so we can, no.
Okay, well, whoever said that was probably calling from a mental institute.
I didn't agree. I was telling Sean that I didn't agree with that.
I know that one's a joke, but there are other examples. Pitching is something that can be there for a while. Hold on to your pitchers. Get a bat either in the offseason, someone you can call up with the recent drafts.
I was saying we need to have all the pitchers play every day. That's our solution.
We should just have Steven Matz batting eighth
every
day.
At least bat every day.
Yeah, at least bat every day.
Well, the problem with that, Sean, is we didn't expect to have 0 run support since June 1st. We didn't expect that in this season.
How could you not expect that?
High-flying offense this season.
I didn't expect to get shut out every day.
I mean,
come on, our pitchers.
Ruben Tejada is still an everyday player on the Mets.
Well, I'll read you some stats here. Dude is batting 187. Harvey's almost batting better.
Cologne's batting better.
Kadyr's batting 211, 118 in his last 7. Eric Campbell, who are you? Ruben Tejada, 230.
And Eric Campbell had a great stretch when we had that 11-game win streak. Do you remember?
Yes.
He came up. Everyone said the Mets. This is going to be. David Wright went on the shelf with the hamstring injury, which we don't know when. Do you have any idea when he's coming back?
No. As of right now, Murphy's going to play third. Flores is at second, and that's the thing. If Wright comes back, what are you going to do? My opinion, you bench Tejada, you go Flores back to shortstop. Tejada's not an everyday player. He had 5 years to prove himself to be an everyday. He couldn't do it.
Totally agree.
Here's another question. For the Mets fans here. Another thing, obviously you need a bat, and you've vocalized that, clearly. We need a bat. We need a bat.
We need a bat.
And you
need a bat.
And you read the lineup that you just read, and all guys of horrible averages right now. Name one name that you're going to be able to slide into this lineup, and with the guys he has around him, he's just automatically going to be.
The problem is
good. There's no one that you're going to bring in that's going to drastically improve this lineup. Bring in Stanton, he's going to fly out because your park is too damn big. So
are you kidding me? Last time Stanton came in, he hit a ball into the upper deck.
Well, you're going to have to trade like Harvey and DeGrom to get him. So
I like the idea of Aramis Ramirez and Gene Segura.
I do too.
I thought that was good. You give up Syndergaard, but you got to give up something to get something.
And that's the problem. Really that Sandy Alderson wants no part in giving anything besides John East or Dylan G. He wants no part in giving away this pitching staff. I agree with it too.
I love pitching.
I think guys like Duda, who had a great start to the year. I think they could be consistent. I think they could be the guys that are in the lineup right now could be consistent enough to make the pitching worth what we have.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. I'm not giving up our pitchers. I would love, the problem is if we're not going to win, and that's the other thing too. I'm not too crazy about winning this year.
Neither was
I enjoy watching all this.
Win for you.
I enjoy watching.
But we need run support
at some point.
Yeah,
you'll get that run support.
Oh no, when we have as of maybe next year, the year or two, this is going to be one of the best pitching staffs in baseball.
Yeah.
Hands down.
But why do you need 5 elite pitch? Why do you need DeGrom, Harvey, Syndergaard, Wheeler, and
That's
Matz?
kind of my point in the fact that Wheeler's going to come back next year. You could, as of not right now, but in the future, you could afford to give up one.
We don't, but we need a bat first.
Yeah, well,
because if we can't score, basically we can do with just. But personally, I think we can do with just Harvey and DeGrom.
That's what to me. Those guys are untouchable. Harvey, DeGrom are untouchable. Why not give up a Matz or a Syndergaard?
And Wheeler will have
and
two.
Get a bat.
Well, after Sunday, and they realized Matz is the only one on the team that can hit. They ain't giving.
But Matz had an unbelievable game.
It's true.
He's a lefty who can throw 96, 90. You don't find that.
I don't want to give up. If I'm a Mets fan, I don't want to give up Matz.
Steven Matz had an unbelievable game Sunday.
I'm fine giving up Syndergaard, keeping Nice. Get rid of Bartolo for whatever he could possibly be.
Bartolo's not going to be worth much after the next year or two.
This year, if you want to give up Bartolo,
Bartolo's going to retire in 3 years.
In 3, he's 41.
Don't get me wrong. He's pitching tonight against Leicester. He's 9-6 on the year. Personally, should he be doing better? Yeah, but you want to know why he's not? Because we have no run support.
Yeah.
Well, I'll jump in with what the Yankee perspective. They've pretty much been They've pretty much been in the same situation. The times that they've struggled this year has been because a great start by a guy, and we haven't gotten the run support. But I guess the mentality when we lose that type of game is completely different between Mets fans and Yankees fans. When we lose the type of game like we did last night and the night before of Sabathia, I say, okay, regular season loss, not that bad. At least the pitching was there. Move on, get him tomorrow. Those are, to me, if there's a good way to lose a game, it's that. Get a good pitching performance, but not enough run support. But you guys think it's like the worst thing in the world, apparently, and you know. But
because it's because of the consistency of not having enough run support.
I don't mind getting shut out every now and then when it's constantly, when it's twice a week.
It can't happen for long stretches of time, and it's happened to the Yankees for decently long stretches, and then they snap it, and then they get back into it. That's why they haven't been consistent. And that's why no one is creating.
Who do you think is our
separation?
Who do you think is our best hitter on the lineup
right now?
Well, I mean,
nobody in the lineup.
Right now. I mean, yeah, Granderson right now, and I think
who couldn't hit anything when the rest of the team was.
Nope.
At the start of the homestand for Granderson, I saw this stat. On his 11 home runs, he had 14 RBI. So no one's getting on base. Because
they've all been solo home runs.
No one's getting on base.
Well, we have some news a little bit about Kevin Love.
What about him? I just saw Tristan Thompson is looking he's going to get re-signed.
Let's see here. Kevin Love.
He's returning to the Cavs. 5 years.
Cavs, I expected that.
Wow.
They said Tristan Thompson just now, too. I just got that, too.
And 5 years for Love, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
So he's sticking around.
He's sticking around. Let's see what else might have just popped up while I was
If I'm the Cavs,
talking.
I would have kept
And then I want to go. Then I want to go back to this baseball talk.
Middleton agrees with the Bucks. Yeah. Jimmy Butler with the Bulls, 5 years, $95 million.
Millsaps between the Hawks and the Wizards, or the Hawks and the Magic.
We'll jump back into Mets and MLB. We got to take a break. 47 minutes past the 2 o'clock hour. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange, and Jim Rosa. See, I'm getting it.
You're getting it, man.
Sounds
good.
973-655-4256. SMC Sports. Back after this. All right, 49 minutes past the 2 o'clock hour. You're listening to SMC Sports on WMSC 90.3 FM. 973-655-4256 is the number to call. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange, and Jim Rosa is on with us. Just me and Jim, we needed to rant a little bit about
that was
Mets
enjoyable.
team.
That was good radio.
I'm still ranting. I'm not done.
We're not done yet.
I am not done. Let's rant.
I'm almost out of popcorn.
Do you have no? You don't have popcorn.
But I said I needed it earlier.
Well, actually, I took all the popcorn when we saw the Giants beat T.O. after he said, take all your popcorn out for the show. So that's why I have all his popcorn. So, and your popcorn, too. So.
Do you know your way home from here?
Sean has the car, so unfortunately no.
Okay. Also, you should check, Jim, you should check Matt Manway's tweets. There's a game
mic
you should
off.
go to.
So anyway, I turned Jim's mic off before Sean's. I don't know.
Back to the Mets.
It's on now.
It's on. Back to the Mets.
Okay, so
you're like Tony Reale over there.
So I was listening to Francesa yesterday, and normally I love Francesa, but he said something yesterday that just completely ticked me off. Now, obviously, before Omar Minaya left, he drafted Harvey, Matz, and DeGrom, obviously. But for whatever reason, Francesa thinks that Minaya was indirectly responsible for the trades for Carlos Beltran that brought Wheeler to New York, and the trade that for R.A. Dickey to Toronto that brought, I guess you could say Darno in the same conversation, Darno and Syndergaard.
Yeah.
First of all, if Omar Minaya was in charge of the team when R.A. Dickey won 20 starts, he wouldn't have traded R.A. Dickey.
No.
Absolutely not. And that was the thing that ticked me off about that. I'm like, I usually love Francesa. He's usually sometimes accurate because he's getting old.
Yeah.
But for him to say that Omar Minaya was indirectly responsible for those trades was garbage. Because last I checked, Alderson made those trades. Even Sean can attest to that I'm right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing, Francesa? What are you doing?
I don't like Francesa, so I'm not.
I like Francesa,
in the same boat as you, but
the things he says sometimes
he says I think he cares a lot about the Yankees and he kind of rips the Mets, but I think it's hard for him to give Alderson
in some cases
any kind
I feel
of
he's
credit.
worse than Michael Kay sometimes.
Oh man,
and Michael Kay is bad.
Michael Kay is bad.
He's getting better, but he used to be bad. Dad.
I really like Ryan Rucco, so I enjoy listening to his show.
I like Rucco. I like LaGreca.
LaGreca's great.
Not just because he's a Mets fan.
Awesome.
LaGreca sounds great. He knows his stuff.
And the pen throw.
But if Michael Kay and Mike Francesa had a show together, it would be the most inaccurate.
That would just be
garbage.
First of all, one of them would be dead in 5 minutes because they both hate each other.
Yeah.
So it's not even like it would be a good situation. They'd both be dead. But No, I like LaGreca, but my dad used to tell me like back before the show was simulcasted, you could talk about this bottle of water here, and Kay would reference it to the Yankees. Poland Spring is the official water carrier of the New York Yankees. Like, shut up!
Yeah, that gets tiring.
But apparently, I heard he's getting better, and it does sound like it. Especially when now Francesa, you can't even get him on Fox anymore.
Nope.
And now they're signed. They're going to put on underrated NASCAR and ping pong over Francesa.
Did they really take Francesa off Fox? He made a mistake leaving.
They didn't take him off Fox. What the deal is? He's on Fox Sports 1 and 2.
Okay.
So 1 week he'll be on Fox Sports 2 from 1 to 4, and then Fox Sports 1 from 4 to 6:30 to finish the show. And so usually up here you only get Fox Sports 2. At my house you only get Fox Sports 1. So luckily, about 95% of the time I'll turn it on and I'm watching ping pong.
Francesa pong.
And understandably, Women's World Cup. So they took Francesa off the air for a little bit from that. But I liked him when he was on Yes.
Yeah, I think Francesa and the Mad Dog have never been the same since they left doing the show together. But
no, because you don't even hear about Russo anymore.
Yeah, I mean that's an absurd comment that he made, though. That I mean he was responsible, like we were saying before, that to bringing Dickey and Beltran in the first place. But that's absurd to give Minaya some kind of credit.
Because Minaya would have been the guy going, well, why would we trade away our Cy Young guy? Why would we do that? Alderson thought outside the box. He said, I see a catcher and a pitcher with potential. Dickey was great, but you know what? He's 38 years old. Let's ship him.
Exactly.
And since then, Dickey hasn't been the same in Toronto. Right now, he's pitching under 500. He's not doing great. He's doing okay. It's probably his best season in Toronto.
No, it's a great trade. It's
interesting because that's what's coming back to hurt him right now.
Yep.
You know?
In this, probably a few years down the line, will go down as the best trade in Mets history to get Syndergaard and Darnell.
We need to keep Syndergaard.
We have to. And
you
know what?
I would not.
He's the one guy.
That's
I'd
the
trade. If I had to pick one of you guys, one of your pitchers.
But that's the issue that Sandy Alderson is in right now. You traded for this guy, potentially the greatest trade in franchise history, and you can't get a bat without letting him go. And that's the situation that he's in.
Either that, or he needs to be in the lineup. I mean,
just put Steven Matz in the lineup.
I mean, it's amazing how some of these pitchers.
Now, Sean, if the DH in the NL works out one day, you can play Steven Matz every day.
Yep.
But now, who do you? Now we haven't talked about that. Who do you realistically think we should go after now?
See, that's tough because there's a lot of guys I like. Aramis Ramirez, I do, because I don't think David Wright's coming back after the All-Star break. I think he's sitting out the year. And I think that's a smart thing to do because this isn't an injury. This is a disease that he's facing right now.
Spinal stenosis.
This could be the end of his career. It was the end of Lenny Dykstra's career when he played in Philly. This ended his career, 36 years old? This could be the end of David Wright.
How old is he now? 31? 32?
He's young, around there.
He's not even, So, I mean, it's something we have to watch out, but I don't think,
I'm glad they caught it early, but it's not an injury. It's a disease that could end this guy's career. If you want to go long-term, Ramirez will be a good guy. Martin Prado, I think, could be a good guy.
I think you probably get more.
I hear Zobrist too
for Syndergaard. Then
I heard they shut down the rumors on Zobrist already.
Zobrist just made sense because it's in Oakland and they.
It made perfect sense.
Billy Bean would, he would.
Billy Bean would ship
something.
Him.
Yeah.
He shipped Donaldson to Toronto last year. Probably the trade that is biting Oakland in the butt right now.
Yep.
Probably because he's probably going to start for the AL in the All-Star game. He's having an unbelievable year in Toronto. Yep. Oh, the ball went off your glove in the wild card game. Big deal.
Do you think the situation for the Mets is almost like you were saying with the NBA? It's going to be about free agency for the Mets too.
Yes.
After this year.
I
don't think go get your bet.
That's I mean in a way that's what I would rather feel. I'd rather
they're going to sign David Price.
If they sign one more pitcher.
Max Scherzer, but he's already
Max Scherzer's locked in for 8 years in Washington. Yeah. He's fine. But if there is one guy the Mets could go after in free agency, and there's a reason that they didn't go after him this year in the offseason because they didn't want to give up pitching, Ian Desmond.
Yeah.
It could work.
Yeah.
I personally, he's not a big bat, but he can be a contributor, especially if there is a future where you're going to keep Flores in the lineup. But if you are going to replace Flores, Ian Desmond's going to be a free agent this year. You have the money to go get him. Go get him.
So let's talk about our outfield a little bit.
Oh my God!
It's center field. Center field were locked for years.
Lagares will be fine.
He'll be fine.
Lagares is in a slump. I'm not worried about Lagares. Obviously, the main worry is Kadire.
Yeah.
Now, Kadire was brought in to be a bat to complement David Wright. David Wright hasn't been in the lineup since April 8th. Something like that. So, Kadire, right now, he's batting 118 in his last 7. He's batting 211 in the last month. Personally, Kadire's not an everyday player. Not anymore, he's not. I don't like Kadire in the starting lineup. And, of course, he's locked in to be in the starting lineup. He signed a contract. And, Terry Collins is going to play him. My problem with Kadire is he's not consistent. He's making bonehead plays in the outfield. And speaking of bonehead, we'll get to Brett Gardner later in Houston.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
I could only have imagined Sean Martin's reaction to that whole thing.
It wasn't pretty.
What? Oh, my God. I'm sorry, Sean. I had to do it while I was ranting. But if you want
we're in a better spot than you guys.
You actually are. Honestly, the Mets, they're 2 games over 500, 3.5 out of the East.
Wild card 3 games or something like that.
3 games.
Yeah.
They're not doing terrible yet.
You can't expect the Nationals. You got to expect at some point the Nationals are going to
The Nationals are
going to
and
run away.
I expect the Nationals to run away with this very
I think
soon.
they're going to win by 15, 20 games this division.
I wouldn't go that
I wouldn't go that far.
Whoa.
15, 20 games.
If the Mets stay relevant, under 10.
I don't think
10
they're going to
games.
stay relevant. And
Do I think the Mets win the NL East this year? Absolutely
I'll
not.
pick a number. I'll say 11 games. The Nationals
But
will win
how
the
do
NL
you
East
even
by
how do you
11
go that
games.
far with the pitching we have?
You guys won't be able to score. They're going to get hot, and they're going to pull away by 11 games.
They're not-
If
they
the
still
Mets
have-
stay relevant, if they're playing the way they are right now, I say 10 games or under. They finish in
11.
second place.
We
Obviously,
make a bet. We have $1 million.
I think we'll be within.
we have 1 million bets already. I'm
Yeah.
not making another bet with you.
I'll say within 5 of the wild card.
We
at
usually
least.
win.
I'll say that. I'll
realistic.
say 4 and 5 out of the wild card. I'll say 8 out of the division.
I'm going to say 15 out of the
You're
division.
crazy, dude.
15.
10 out of the wild
11
card.
out of the division. 11.
We
I
weren't.
don't
Were we?
know for the
Were
wild
we
card.
15 games last year?
We were more than that.
Was it?
Washington
Yeah.
ran away with it.
Like,
We
yeah.
were good. I think we were almost a good 20.
Really?
Washington
remember the
ran
exact
away
stat.
with the East.
11 out of the division.
I mean, if the Mets finish 500, which I think is kind of a stretch, puts them at 81 wins, which means the Nationals have to finish at 96. I think if you're looking at the Mets at somewhere like 78 wins.
And the
But
Nationals can
Nationals
finish
can finish
at
93 to
96.
96.
Do I see them winning
92 would
100?
be
No,
11.
but
No.
I do agree with you. At some point, the Nationals will run away with this NL East. I don't know when it's going to happen. It's going to happen as soon as we get hot. The Nationals will run away with the whole thing.
So far, they haven't been consistent though.
Exactly, but when they do, and I know that they will,
Yeah.
I mean,
injuries-
Scherzer's pitching. Their
The only
whole
consistent
staff is
team in
pitching
all
out
of
of their mind.
baseball has been the
when
Cardinals.
Washington
It's
gets
true.
officially healthy, because they're not really healthy right now, the pitching gets consistent, total death to the rest of the NL East. It's over.
It is. Completely
You
over.
don't have to ask me if the Mets are going to win the NL East. I know they're not going
At the
to.
beginning of the year, the Marlins were going to be good in that report, but a lot of people.
We
thought
all
they would.
said
I
Miami
said
was
the
going to
same thing, yeah.
I said Miami was going to finish over the Mets as we hit the top of the 3 o'clock hour on 90.3 WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. SMC Sports. We'll be taking you guys to 4 o'clock before Justin Frasca with Tropical Storms comes on after.
It's been an eventful show.
What
It
is
has been an
tropical
eventful show.
storms?
Yeah, it's a music show that he made up.
Very interesting.
This whole station's majority music.
Yeah, a lot
Yeah,
of music.
this is the one sports show. Isn't
Well,
it?
no, we're
Well,
getting a lot
I'm not
more
the
sports.
only one. I'm the only one this summer. When we
okay.
get into the fall, it'll be myself. It'll be Sean. It'll be Craig. We'll be on his show again.
And you have John, right?
Sunday,
John,
10 to 1,
Brian.
John,
Yeah.
Monday.
We have a good 5 or 6 going on the air. If we get the stream though, that'll be a guarantee. If we don't, we might have a problem.
Yep.
But
Good luck.
I think it's gonna happen. Sheen presented a great argument to me before. I think it was last week. All the plans are in place. We should have no problem getting it.
It's something that we all pretty much agree that we need, so it should be something that gets done.
Agreed. But we'll go back to that later when we go off the air. We'll rant about that a little later. But for the Mets case, now personally, I think we should go after Ramirez. It's not bad. Carlos Gomez has been in talks as well. Jose Reyes is coming to the conversation.
Dear God.
But Toronto's playing red hot. They're not going to give up their leadoff hitter.
Nope.
Now, if it was you, Jim, who do you trade for?
I still like Ramirez.
Shout out for keeping the dead air out.
I still like Ramirez.
I do too.
I think that's your best. I think that's your best option right now if we don't look into free agency. The interesting thing is you can just say, how are the Nationals? What was it that they were able to get that made them such a potent team? And not even the
Harper was first. Actually, no, Zimmerman was first. He was the piece that started the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Harper, Strasburg,
Yeah, I'm saying without pitching.
Jordan Zimmerman.
I'm saying without pitching because I think the Mets.
Oh, without pitching.
The Mets pitching is in next year will be the I think
the best in baseball.
Close the best of baseball.
If we keep the staff that we have. Okay, for Washington without the pitching, I would have to start with Zimmerman.
Mm-hmm.
He's the piece that started the whole thing for the Nationals franchise. Bryce Harper, Denard Span plays great outfield.
Worth was a great signing.
Worth was a phenomenal signing because you knew Philly was going down after the 2011 playoffs. You knew they were done after that.
You mentioned Desmond before.
Desmond's
big. Ramos.
Desmond has played great shortstop at Washington.
Not this year,
but
in the past, yeah.
In the past, he's
sure.
played great shortstop.
So what you're pointing at is that for the Mets, it's more than just the pitch. It's going to be a lot more than just the pitching.
Yes.
And it's a hard year for the Mets to make a trade because you expected the Rockies to be a lot worse. You expected Diamondbacks, Twins.
So in the next 5-6 years, do you think that we could trade potentially for maybe one of their bats? I don't know who's up on free agency.
Well, Bryce Harper signed till 2019, and personally, I think with his mindset, he's going to be a Yankee one day.
He is. I think Harper and
Harper
Trout
will go for the
both
money.
be the Yankees.
Harper will go
Trout
for
is a Yankee. So
Harper
bad.
more than Trout. I see being a Yankee. I could totally see Trout being loyal.
Them. He was the 25th pick. Guess who had picked 26?
Yeah.
What annoys me is that the
Trout
Yankees can always get these guys, but it seems like whenever we try to do something like that,
we have money to go get guys. We just won't do it.
We won't do it. That's
Jason
what I'm saying.
Bay?
I do.
I saw a meme.
I
saw a meme on Instagram once of him talking to R.A. Dickey, and it just captioned as R.A. I'm telling you, I used to be really good. I'm like, you also played in Boston where the outfield fence is 60 feet high, but it's 300 feet out.
He wasn't as good since Pittsburgh. That was the
even in Pittsburgh, he wasn't that great. Who remembers the home run derby in Detroit when he went in representing Pittsburgh and he just completely failed?
No, I don't remember that.
Robinson Cano style.
Actually, he pulled a Jason Bay.
Let me ask you this:
Jason Bay did it first.
Does it not, as a Mets fan, does it not annoy you that the future of the team, other than the pitching staff, is completely out there?
Well,
his whole team's annoying me.
I mean,
I have a list here for you guys.
That's the problem.
It's on the.
This will be good.
It's on the Amazing Avenue Mets blog, so, which is part of the SB Nation thing, which covers like a specific team. So there's one for the Yankees. I usually go to for Yankee information because it's pretty good. Mets trade targets. A few players who might be able to help. And I'm looking at this list. None of these guys are your future World Series MVPs. So you should be jumping out to trade pitchers.
We just want
a bat. We're not looking for an MVP. I'm looking for a bat.
Alex Guerrero, Gene Segura, you guys talked about. Justin Turner could work. Ben Zobrist, those rumors are over. Preston Tucker, Gerardo Parra, Ryan Braun, Carlos Gomez, and Josh Reddick.
Carlos Gomez, yes. Ryan Braun, no shot.
Yeah, so
no shot.
You have no shot, and the last two, Josh Reddick.
Without him, Milwaukee goes winless.
Yeah.
That team is awful.
Actually winless, though.
That team really is terrible. I don't know why. I mean,
that's why they need to start giving up guys. Same with Philly. Cole Hamels is going to be on his way out soon.
Yeah, if he can.
Hopefully, if Amaro finally admits that his team's a losing team.
Yeah.
We're a great team. I feel we can win the World Series this
year.
With
games.
what?
No, you're not.
With what?
But I think it's certainly a frustrating experience.
Yeah. Go play the Jackals. They'll beat them.
They'll beat them. Yeah. They won today. I just saw.
Yes, they did win today.
But for now, I'm just gonna enjoy the pitching staff.
I love the pitching staff.
I think that's something for Mets fans every night to watch the game. A few years ago, I didn't watch maybe a third of the season just because we were irrelevant by July, and we had honestly nothing to look forward to.
And you know what? With the pitching staff now with G in AAA, and Steven Matz is now up, every night you have something special to go watch. Mm-hmm. When you go to the game, like I saw DeGrom pitch 2 weeks ago against Atlanta. Mm-hmm. Besides the 470-foot home run he gave up to Freddie Freeman in the first inning, 7 dominant innings.
And then they lost.
And then you know what? And then they lost because the bullpen and Alex Torres and his robotic Met hat.
Torres, his giant head,
is terrible. and
he walks everyone.
And the Mets don't know what small ball is. Like you have 2-1, the tying run is on first base. You have John Mayberry Jr. who doesn't hit righties well at all.
He doesn't hit a baseball well at all.
Well, against lefties he hits well. He's in the starting lineup every time there's a lefty. Yeah. And then instead of bunting, what do? You line out to the shortstop and the guy at second gets caught.
Good.
I don't want to compare these guys. I think Syndergaard's better than G was.
Yeah.
But when
no question, you can't.
But when G first came up, he was talked about as one of their better pitchers, possible trade bait. and they just had to cut him, unless he optioned himself. But basically, they were willing to just get rid of him. I think you don't want to end up in that situation with a Syndergaard or a Matz or whatever. That's why I think you need to pull the trigger.
I sincerely think, though, that all these guys are going to be good.
I think that's wishful thinking.
I mean, I do think that they will be.
But most of them have proven themselves to an extent already.
The problem is with G, we haven't had a pitcher before this who we had so much confidence in.
It's true. But even if they are all good, say they're all Cy Young caliber, first of all is...
Well, I don't think that necessarily.
You know, whatever, really good. Do you
good
think
enough.
Syndergaard, really good Syndergaard's going to be willing to sit in the 5th spot and not get paid like he deserves to be in the 1st or 2nd starter?
No, eventually
you're going to have to pay these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all under $1 million. I saw today they're all making less than Bobby Bonilla this year.
Agreed.
So, I mean, at some point you're going to have to pay them.
I promised Sean we wouldn't stay on Mets all day because I know he wants to talk about the Yankees. We'll do that when we get back from the break. We'll talk a little bit of Yankees, and I left the show early last week. I got very sick last week. Today's actually the best day I've been feeling since Tuesday.
Since 2006, right?
Yeah, since 2006.
Yeah, since 2006.
No, I wasn't getting sick in the Mets team. I actually got really sick.
Yeah, okay.
But which means I didn't get to address what happened to Pete Rose. We'll do that later. Coming up, 8 minutes past the 3 o'clock hour. Number to call, 973-655-4256. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange. This gonna be tough for me.
4 for 6 as far as...
I know.
4 for 6, not bad.
I appreciate the efforts.
That's not a bad average. If the Mets had someone of that average, you guys wouldn't be complaining.
And Jim Rosa on SMC Sports on WMSC. Back after this.
Hi, this is Ed Helvey, founder of Montclair State Radio way back in 1966. And you're listening to 90.3 FM WMSC, Upper Montclair, New Jersey. Still the voice of Montclair State.
Makes you feel happy like an old-time movie. I'll tell you about the magic and the free your soul, but it's like...
But you guys act like you just won.
Your mic is on.
Your mic's on, dude. When I say we're coming,
radio,
when I say we're coming back on the air, it means I'm about to turn the mics on.
Put my mic on.
15 minutes past the 3 o'clock hour. You're listening to SMC Sports on WMSC. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange, and Jim Rosa on here.
I'm right back in the action. What can you do? I mean,
welcome back.
When I tell you we're about to go back on the air, normally you don't say anything.
It's all here.
Hey, I remember listening to the show the first time when you were on, and you spoke so loud, my eardrums were about to explode.
Ooh,
I remember.
fired.
I remember.
Wow.
Shots fired. Ooh.
It's because I always get close to the mic. Sometimes I gotta put my.
We all make mistakes.
We all make mistakes. It's okay. You were too low when you were too far away from the mic when we first started.
Exactly.
So what can you do?
It's all we're good.
So we just ranted about Mets baseball for probably about a good 45 minutes.
Doing a lot of ranting on this show.
That's what sports radio is.
It is. Lots
of
rants.
My own show is going to be straight rant. It's gonna.
I'm not going on.
3 hours of just rant.
I'll be on there, but what are you gonna do? I'll listen to it.
We're going to be ranting about
now,
how the state doesn't give us programs. But
hopefully I'll be able to say the whole entity of our state, because we always mess up with that. So
now, when it comes to the Yankees and this AL East, this is a very wide open AL East. Even for Boston, they're not out yet. They're 6 out.
They're probably going to play it like they are out and start selling, because that's what they do.
Most likely, but when you look at the standings right now, they're not out yet. I have the standings right here. Baltimore and Tampa are tied. New York is out by half a game. Toronto is out by a game. This division's going to go to anybody who wants it more.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be a great
It's going to be
finish.
the best thing to follow in baseball down the stretch.
Absolutely. And you know what? You take a look at a lot of these teams are going to be fun to follow, like Houston. I hate St. Louis, Minnesota, Kansas City, L.A. and San Francisco. I hate San Francisco. So take a look at these teams. The American League East is going to be the best race to watch. This will come down to the last week of the season.
And what's fascinating about it is the way you don't talk about specific head-to-head matchups a lot in baseball, but the way those 3 teams play when it's the style of their play and the way they play when it's head-to-head, at least from the Yankee perspective, from what I've seen, makes for some really interesting games. Because I know one of the keys I said to this season is that I thought Tampa Bay was going to be a dumpster fire, like a lot of people.
Yeah, because Madden left. What'd you expect?
Yeah, and so I said, but we still never really played well in Tampa, the Yankees. So I said one of our keys going into this year was if we're going to be a real contender, we need to take advantage of a bad Tampa Bay team and go in there and be able to win games. Sure enough, every time we go there now, it's a good team, but we've played pretty well so far this year in Tampa. So I'm impressed with what we've done there. Toronto is a place that we haven't necessarily played well, and it's a pretty small parks, and that's why they've been crushing the ball and been great offensively. So as long as they get to keep playing there the rest of the year, obviously they're going to be a contending team. And in Baltimore, you know what you're getting with them. They're capable of getting scary hot at times and then cooling down and then getting scored.
They've been doing
hot.
that for years.
If you run into them at the wrong time, which the Yankees did a couple of weeks ago, you're not gonna be in a good position. So it's just gonna come down to scheduling, and you're gonna have a lot of big time games with some big time pitchers on the mound. So it's gonna be a fun division.
Absolutely. Evaldi's gonna be on the mound tonight against Schumacher. You guys didn't win tonight.
Yeah, we do. I mean, I'm not that concerned. For whatever reason, we cannot win in the Angels' place. It's just a place that we cannot win.
Besides the
games
playoffs,
in, so.
you never really could anyway.
Yeah, so I mean,
hard to win when Nathan Eovaldi is pitching as well.
I like Eovaldi.
Oh, Eovaldi's terrible.
I
mean,
like
he lasts 5 1/3 innings, lets up 4 runs every single time. He's like
past couple
Nuno.
times.
He's like Nuno from last year.
Yeah.
It's,
I just want to know
Ward.
how you lost the series against Philadelphia. That's all I want to know. Even the Mets haven't done that.
First 2 games are insane. Like a million runs scored, and we couldn't. We came back and couldn't pull them out. But
Jim, at least we could say we didn't lose the series in Phillies.
I mean,
well, you're still gonna play them more. So when you got, I'm looking at the Mets schedule right now, so I can make it.
We'll probably play him after the All-Star break.
At least we can win
appointment
13.
television for when
At
they
least we
play
can
the
win like
Phillies
13
next.
to 15 games against them. That's what I'm saying.
So that I can
That's
watch this and text you guys when they sweep you or something.
After 07 and 08, they'll always be rivals to me, no matter how bad they are. But Washington took their spot this year. Oh man, it's tough. But Yankees did go a little over 500 in June. But the series against Houston, I thought they should have took 3 out of 4.
Yeah,
the Houston series is tough.
There.
I can see why I haven't seen much Astros baseball this year, but I can see why that team has been good because they've been relying on pitching and home runs, and I can see how they can consistently hit so many home runs because that park is just a bandbox. It is.
I hate Minute Maid Park.
It is so small. The ball's
Do you
flying
really?
out of there.
I don't like the design. I like the park, but I don't like the hill in center field. I never have.
See, I think that's great. I'm sad that they're taking it out next year.
They
You guys
are?
have
Yeah, they're moving the fences in to like
Yep.
Wow.
And they're taking the
4-11
hill
or
out.
something. Yeah.
You guys have a 4-game set to Philly starting August 24th. Let's go.
Oh, that's late.
Yeah.
24th to 27th. Oh, and then you bring in the Boston. So I'm going to root for you to lose and then immediately to win again. And then you play the Phillies again. So I want you guys to lose, get hot, and then get cold again.
Because that's realistic. Yeah.
What the hell's wrong with you?
A lot of things. Where do you want me to start?
I don't know.
You weren't expecting that one.
I can't take this kid seriously ever.
You shouldn't. So
I don't.
good.
How fun was that Jackals thing last week?
What, just doing the interviews? and
Just
stuff?
doing the interviews, being at the game, almost dying on the way home because the fog was
Yeah,
terrible.
'cause we couldn't drive.
What did wait? Oh, yeah, last Wednesday. Yeah.
Yeah, Saturday we went up to do interviews with
Saturday.
the Jackals, and the fog was absolutely ridiculous. We had to leave because I was afraid for his sake, some of my own too, because I'm not a great driver in bad weather, and he's
you
got
have
to drive an
around
hour and a
the
half to
hellhole
Point.
that is North Jersey.
That's right. I work there, obviously, doing the concessions.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I left, you couldn't see a thing. It was terrible.
I'm glad we left when we did. Literally about an inning later, they shut it down.
Yeah. Oh, man. Wait, so who do you guys interview then?
We interviewed Mark Threlkeld and Isaac Pavlik.
And you played them for the radio? You played on the radio?
Well, the feature's done. It's just a matter of when they're going to put it in the computer.
Okay.
You can hear the Pavlik when I have it up on the website at NJ Sports.
And I interviewed Threlkeld. That's on mine as well.
Okay.
So.
And it's on SoundCloud. Yep.
SoundCloud, YouTube, etc., etc., etc.
NJ Sports Support.
That SoundCloud is actually very good.
I like.
You know what I hate about it?
I've learned. Sean has taught me how to use it. We've used it for our own website. It's been pretty interesting, except when I was trying to watch stuff that's through SoundCloud without actually downloading SoundCloud, it would delete halfway through.
You know what I hate, though? I hate if you want to download more without spending more money, you're not going to be able to.
Yeah.
I've got about under 100 minutes left on my SoundCloud.
I don't know how many minutes I have.
And to upload unlimited stuff, you got to pay for it.
Yeah.
Which I think is
I'm
ridiculous.
gonna have to look into how much, because we need some, for the website to continue to. We need.
I'm
something
sure
for-
it's cheap. I'm sure it's not that much money, but it's just a hassle anyway to deal with.
Well, we're trying to get money to put into it soon anyway. So.
What are you gonna do? But you take a look at this American League right now. Not even really just the East. There's a lot of teams that are surprising me. Houston is the front runner. Minnesota, who I completely wrote off. I'm like, you're gonna finish what, 4th in the Central? Is now in contention for the AL Central. Why did I say North? I'm thinking football.
North.
The AL North.
That's got a very nice ring to it.
AL North.
You know what's funny though? That's got a very nice ring to it. I
does.
like saying the American League North. I
can just picture like at the All-Star game if they announce about division, you're representing the American League North.
Representing the American League North
Yes.
and the Kansas City Royals.
Yeah, and the Royals.
The entire starting lineup. I'm not gonna bother announcing it. I honestly cannot wait to see how this All-Star game plays out.
That's like saying the NFC Central. Or the AFC Central.
Watch, I'm gonna trade names. You're all gonna thank me later.
It's not the worst team, is it, to
confusing.
make the All-Star team? I mean, they did make the World Series last year.
Who, Kansas City?
Yeah, if you have to have some starting crew.
Don't get me wrong. I was the
representing
biggest Kansas City Royals supporter. Say bandwagon all you want.
No, I
biggest
supported
Kansas
them.
City Royals supporter last year.
Bandwagon would have been if you're rocking the Royals hat. And,
No, I don't own anything Kansas City Royals.
Yeah,
I was just rooting for the team.
That's bandwagon. They're a fun team to root for.
You want to know why? Because when the NLCS panned out last year and it was San Francisco, St. Louis, I never wanted to jump off a building more in my life. That was, it was two teams that I hated, two teams who are very experienced playoff teams. You didn't know who was going to win. The only exciting moment of that series, because I thought it was boring, was the end of Game 5 when he hit the homer to win the pennant. That was the only exciting part.
Yep.
But I remember texting you during Game 7 when Bumgarner came out of the bullpen.
Over, yeah.
I said it's over.
And sure enough, it pretty much
Sure
was.
enough, it was.
There
And
some
Kansas City was
fireworks.
leading.
Yep.
Kansas City was leading that game, too. And we're like, Kansas City might win. And then you just see 40 trotting out of the bullpen.
Yep.
You're like, what is going on
Incredible pitcher.
That was Manager of the Year move by Bruce Bochy. 100%.
Yeah.
How weird are the Giants that they win just every other year?
Yep, it's a
and then
pattern.
they miss the playoffs. They win, miss the playoffs.
It's what the Red Sox are
That was my reason
at
at the beginning of the year when we made predictions. Oh, why does San Francisco miss the playoffs? Because it's their other year.
Because they won
Next
the year
they'll be
before,
in the
yeah.
playoffs. I go, Sean, you don't have any other reason? Nope. Accurate. But no, when Bumgarner trotted out of the bullpen, I was like, Manager of the Year move. This is when San Francisco wins the World Series.
Speaking of the AL East, bottom 8, Toronto 9, Boston 2. So Red Sox.
Boston is terrible.
woes continue.
Did you hear what Pablo Sandoval did last week?
With the Instagram
With the
thing?
Instagram thing? You're losing, first of all. And then you go into the bathroom, which if it was at Fenway Park, probably I would say smaller than the press box. And you're going to be like in Instagram pictures. Like, how stupid could you be?
That's why I hate the Red Sox.
I want to know how they found out about
the
that.
whole attitude and, what, goes on. They've always had stuff like that. There was that scandal, and then there was the year before the thing of guys like drinking in the clubhouse before games.
But are you really going to compare someone liking a photo on Instagram to drinking
to
before
Kevin
games
Youkilis drinking
and-
before the 2004 ALCS?
I think it's very
not
different.
in severity, but like in just things that shouldn't be happening. Like,
But see, I personally, I understand you do. I personally don't have an issue with the Instagram liking.
No, I don't either. When you could compare that to Kevin Millar drinking in the 2004 ALCS before the games and
when
playing
you compare,
hungover.
and I just, as a whole, I think, it's a long baseball season. These games are long.
Yeah, I've just, from a Yankee fan, I've never liked the whole, obviously you can't like the Red Sox, but I've never liked the whole, just like, the whole mentality. It's so different than the Yankees. The Yankees, you're clean shaven, you got 2 uniforms, traditional ball, this is how baseball is supposed to be. It's,
and no one's classier than A-Rod, so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
totally.
he's the classiest.
Yeah, I'm willing to forgive A-Rod.
First,
yeah, I forgave him.
No, you can't. I mean, he
can't
took
you forgive
steroids
him?
throughout his whole career.
Because he's a
So many
giant
guys
Yankee
did
fan,
that.
and A-Rod's helping him win
He's
right
a
now.
cheat. He's a cheat. If A-Rod was batting 180 with 2 home runs this year, you're telling me
you
you'd
want his
forgive
head.
him.
No,
If A-Rod was on the Mets, you'd be the
want to
first
say.
If A-Rod was
one.
on the Mets, I wouldn't care about his entire career. So.
If A-Rod was batting 180 right now, you would be the first to write him off. Don't say you wouldn't.
I'd be saying we need him to get better because we'd probably be in Boston spot down in the cellar of the division.
Yankee Stadium would boo him every time he came up to the plate if he was doing this bad.
Yeah, absolutely.
Luckily for himself, he's not.
Because we need production. We want a winning ball club.
I thought it was
that's
a
the top
joke when
priority.
they cheered him on this 3,000th hit. Because, like you said, if he's batting 180, they boo him on his 3,000th hit.
That's why he wanted to do it at home so bad, because if he was on the road, he would have got booed out of the
booed
building.
so bad.
I have been happily enjoying A-Rod's resurgence.
Of course you have. You're a Yankee fan.
I enjoy it from the sole point that it really screws over Yankees management, because how do you get rid of A-Rod now?
How do you get rid of A-Rod? How do you get around paying him these bonuses
whatever
that you
happened with
promised
that?
him?
Exactly.
What?
Whatever happened with that, with his money?
They still just haven't
They still
paid him.
haven't
I haven't
paid
heard.
him.
I have heard nothing more.
I heard the Yankees wanted to do something where they wanted to give it to charity or something like that, and A-Rod wants the money.
Well, I don't blame him. I mean,
I don't
it's in
blame
his
him either.
contract.
It's in his contract. He was
And
going
to
to
say
get.
he's not marketable is garbage. I mean,
what was the money that he was going to get after 660?
$6 million.
$6 million. I would want it too.
Yeah.
I don't care how much steroids I took in the last 14 years of my career.
Glad we deposit that check.
Although
gladly.
in the Yankees' defense, I think it was done as, for marketability, whatever. But the night of his 61st home run, 660th home run, the tickets were still selling at face value. So it's not like people are rushing to be there like they were for Jeter.
It's not like
Jeter goes back longer. Everybody, even people who say they're Yankee fans will barely follow it and just are associated with the team. You can talk about Jeter and mention A-Rod's the same way as far as he has the big name, but not everyone knows as much about him. So.
But I mean, he's been there since 2003 or 2004.
Yeah.
So
mid-season 2004.
He's been around, but people just don't follow him as much. Like Jeter was just such a good guy.
It's because he did things the right way.
Yeah.
Yep.
He didn't cheat.
And don't get me wrong, me and Jim, probably biggest Mets fans. I could probably say this for you too. I was watching that game. I watched the first and the third inning when he got those hits.
Yeah. I'm a Jeter fan.
Oh, I'm a big Jeter fan.
You can't not.
You don't know how mad I was when I found out the Yes Network wasn't up here at the time of his last game at Yankee Stadium. You don't know how mad I was.
That's why
Yeah, I didn't feel like walking 6 feet outside my dorm.
6 feet away.
I didn't feel like going. What am I gonna say? I didn't feel like going.
If you call yourself a baseball fan, you won't walk 4 inches to watch Derek Jeter, one of the best Yankees of all time, play his final home game.
No, I'm a baseball fan because I followed it on Twitter and drained my phone battery.
Why you can't follow someone like that on Twitter? A box of texts.
He thought he was in a scrimmage.
That's what I did.
I go off on you.
I paid $2 for Texas Rangers tickets that night, and I watched it on Twitter. Yeah.
What the hell, guys?
For a minute, I'm like, why Texas Rangers?
What
are you doing in Texas?
It is.
Yeah.
It is. Yeah. What am I doing
Yeah,
in
for a minute,
Texas?
I was like, what are you doing in Texas in September? Oh my God.
It is nice. If these seats were actually really good, it was just people were trying to get rid of.
You paid $2 for ticket? Oh, they were atrocious last year.
Second level, first row, really nice seats.
$2.
Yeah, but when you sit high up,
you're still paying $10 to go to the upper deck in Citi Field. You're still paying $10.
I paid $20 for the upper deck in Yankee Stadium.
We paid $34 to go to the Subway Series, and I'm thinking, man, why so cheap? We were at the very top of the stadium, and I'm like,
I like being up there. Though. There's no rules in the upper deck.
No, oh my God, it was ruthless up there. It was so much fun.
Really?
You have to admit though, Mets fans took over the upper deck. You even have to admit it was funny.
Yeah, but we won the ball game. So.
You did, but we were louder the entire time.
That doesn't. Mets fans know small victories. Oh, we were louder. Oh, go win a World Series being loud. I mean, like,
if we win a World Series, you're telling me we're going to be quiet?
No, I'm saying go win a World Series because you're loud. No.
If we win a World Series, it's not going to do anything.
Win baseball
Not for
games.
him. It's not.
No, he's going to be like,
if the
well,
Mets
if
win
this
a World
happened,
Series, I'll acknowledge it.
He's going to be like, we could go out and play Anaheim in the World Series and sweep them, and you're going to be like, well, if this happened.
I want to know who to root for in the Mets Anaheim World Series.
I'll be like, dude, we swept them. It doesn't matter. Guys, we got to take a quick break while I strangle Sean Martin while we go to break. Number to call.
Nice note, everybody. Follow WMSC Sports, and because I'm never going to be here again, and NJSportsReport.com.
Number to call.
That's my legacy.
973-655-4256.
Upon photo review is never going to happen, I guess.
Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange. Say that right?
Creange.
I'm never going to get this right.
Creange.
Every time we go to break
7,
to every time we come back, it's different.
And we never talk about it. It's always just in your mind.
You're in Forest territory if you're average on it.
And finally, Jim Rosa, who we never seem to, mention until like about 5 minutes after our little debates. 31 minutes past.
SNS this week.
Yeah, it would have been nice. 31 minutes past the 3 o'clock hour. You're listening to SMC Sports. Back after this. And we're about 39 minutes past the 3 o'clock hour on SMC Sports. Sean McChesney, Sean Martin, James Creange, and Jim Rosa in the studio. And now, guys, and I talked to you about this a little bit before we went off the air, or while we were off the air. We talked a lot of Mets, a lot of Yankees, a lot of MLB in general. But because I went off the air sick last week, I didn't really get a chance to address this, and that's the allegations coming on about Pete Rose. So Pete Rose has come out this entire time saying he never bet on the game as a player. And now I guess they got outside the lines, got a notebook or whatever from like April 9th to July 9th of 86, him betting on games constantly. This is the final piece of the puzzle. If there was any shot at him possibly being reinstated or going to the Hall of Fame, it's gone now. What do you guys think?
I totally agree. Totally agree. It's not surprising, I don't think. I mean,
no, it's not.
It's clear he had a gambling problem, and it's not surprising to think that happened while he was playing. But it's a little surprising that's taken this long to find it out, I guess. But yeah, this is it for Pete Rose.
It has to be.
There's just, I wanted to like him. I wanted to think that what he did wasn't that bad, and he moved on. Now he's an analyst, so his face is on TV. It's a face everyone recognizes. I wanted it to be a likable face that we could continue to go to for good baseball information. But all of that is just shattered now, unfortunately.
Yeah, and Jim, what do you think about it?
I mean, it's certainly something that it was something that we were looking at, and it would decide whether or not he would come back and whether he'd be clean of everything. But I guess what my problem is this all about him gambling, or is this about baseball itself?
I think it's a little bit of both.
Because he still had over 4,000 hits.
Mm-hmm.
So should that automatically exclude him from the Hall of Fame?
I mean, think of what he did to the game. Think of if they're in a pennant race, say, and he's betting for the Cardinals to win, or so. It just takes away your mindset of worrying about your team.
Yep.
Yeah.
Your team winning.
As of right now, the report said he never bet against the Reds. Never.
Well,
that's what he always said.
It doesn't matter if he.
Well, that's apparently what the notebook said. He said most of the times he bet on the Reds, it was to win.
And that's the reason why he thinks what he did isn't so bad, because if I'm playing for my team, I'm gonna try to help him win anyway. So if I don't, it's my fault, and if I do, then
he's still breaking policy. And you know what? He's lucky they're not taking the stats away anyway.
And it changes a lot of things. Even betting on the team, it changes your whole mindset. Like it changes your reasons for wanting to win, say. But also there's over-unders to think about. If the Reds were supposed to win by 4 runs, he bets on that. And they're supposed to win by 3 runs, but they're up by 4.
Oh, there's no question he was in shaving points in that too.
Exactly.
Or runs.
Yeah.
Run shaving.
I think
that doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Point shaving's better.
But, I mean, I think it totally takes away the sanctity of the game if you're betting on while you're playing.
I agree. I feel this is the end of Pete Rose. He's done. And, Jim, like you said, 4,000 hits is incredible. They're lucky they're going to keep that for him, let alone being in the Hall of Fame. They're lucky they're keeping his stats anyway. Mm-hmm. Because, you did hit 4,000 hits. It's not like he took illegal PEDs. It's not like he did any of that. As what we know, he was clean. But he broke baseball policy. He gambled when he wasn't supposed to. Lied for years saying he didn't gamble as a player. Now it's coming out that he did. He's done. Plain and simple.
And in NBA news, Kyle Singler agrees to a 5-year deal, $25 million of the Thunder.
No way.
And Tyson Chandler went to the Suns.
Really?
Yeah.
A lot of big moves. Aldridge and Jordan are still quiet.
Wesley Matthews.
Tiago Splitter got traded. I'm not sure if you guys saw that.
We saw that earlier, yeah.
And
then there's this tweet. It's the... it's an average life goals thing. They just post average things and then people getting excited about it. And it's a million fire emojis and then a plastic white orange.
What?
Why? How? Why a white chair?
Just the stereotypical, just everyone has one of these in their backyard somewhere.
Accurate, I guess. Oh, well, the white chair in the backyard, yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's got that. If you don't have that, you don't have a backyard.
You're not average life goals.
You don't have a backyard.
So do you think Pete Rose compared to A-Rod, do you think A-Rod has a chance of...
That's a good question.
Of the Hall of Fame?
Comparing betting to PEDs.
I mean, yeah, I guess that's the root of it all. And, I guess you can say that era compared to now.
Well, what are you saying? Does A-Rod have a shot at the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, it's just
absolutely
simply put. Yeah.
If you had to choose one guy to put in the Hall, who do you?
If I had to choose one guy, Pete Rose.
Pete Rose. This is my argument. My argument is that Pete Rose never did anything to
illegal to himself
up his stats.
Yeah, he never.
No, as far as we know, those 4,000 hits came clean.
Yes.
As far as we know.
Yeah.
So if I had to pick one guy,
because guys never did that.
But how well Lenny Dykstra did.
Well, yeah.
But think about how detrimental it is to those pitchers on the Reds. That if he was point shaving, let's say he makes a bad play in the outfield, makes a bad throw, whatever, to let in a run, those guys' ERA goes up, they lose out on contracts. You know, it's little things that all add up. It is.
You're right, and I didn't even realize that just now. That it's the little things that can affect your teammates. But
did he bet on them to win?
As far as the reports say, he never bet on them to lose.
Because that's hard to. I mean, not for nothing, but that's hard to skip.
Well, that's what they read in the notebook thing.
It's hard to win a game in general.
But as I said before, there's it's in gambling. It's not typically win or lose. It's win by 3.
Right. Yeah.
You
win
have
by
+3, -3,
Agreed.
whatever.
But no, you're absolutely right. It does affect other players. I never even really realized that until now.
Oh God, Phil Jackson, what are you doing? The Knicks have apparently reached out to Jeremy Lin.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God.
saw that. How great is that?
The garden is actually going to explode.
Wouldn't that be great if Lin came back?
That is the one single reason they didn't put the draft in the garden.
It'll be a pile of dirt by tomorrow.
Because Knicks fans weren't going to burn down the Barclays Center. Barclays Center's like 2 years old.
I'd buy season tickets.
They would have had no problem burning down the garden.
Eating the crap that they're feeding you.
I do. I love Lin. I love Jeremy Lin.
He's not that good.
He is good. I mean, he's
not
going to
help
player.
a Knicks
He's
team
not a
that's not
superstar.
He's not going to help him win.
No, but every Knicks fan is going to expect him to be a superstar.
No, I don't think so.
You're going to sign him. You're going to have 50 New Yorkers with Wayne jerseys saying, Knicks to the championship, and you guys are going to be a dumpster fire with bad contracts.
If the only move Phil Jackson makes in free agency is signing Jeremy Lin, they will burn the garden to the ground.
Oh, but we signed Jeremy Lin. What?
They'll have to play in Tums River.
Down to the north. Go nice Pine Belt Arena.
They actually did have NBA games in Trenton where they have the TOC.
Which is a horrible venue. So
it's this venue where I think it's for... Have you ever been there? The Sunbank Center in Trenton?
No.
It's like a multi-purpose sport arena.
Is it for TCNJ?
It's actually what they a minor league basketball team used to be there, and then I think before that they used to have. It's one of those it's built for hockey, but the court's in the middle, so you have like that extra space where the media would sit.
Yeah.
And it's just the oddest venue to have a game, but they used to have NBA games there.
Really?
A long time ago.
Who played there?
I don't know who played there, but
that's where the Knickerbockers.
Because it's a huge. I mean, it's a huge venue overall.
Yeah.
It's just a little too big now for the things that they're trying to have there, and it's in Trenton, which is very tough for people to get to, and it's really not not too known.
The state makes us drive every year to Trenton to watch the last game of the season. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's kind of.
We have the best basketball. You have an epic season that you've been following, and every step of the way has been excellent, and then the final step is in Trenton.
The thing is too, and the thing that's so. I'm sorry to bash the Sunbank Arena, but
no, bash all you want. It's atrocious.
It's one of those things where, and also too, they have a huge scoreboard. I mean, how big would you say it is? It's not like
Jerry Jones.
It's not
big,
Jerry Jones big, but it's pretty big. Where they don't put player stats or anything. They just have NJI.
It's a huge screen and they just have a logo
with the New Jersey.
At least give me a
as if we don't know what New
something.
Jersey looks like already from a map. They have the letters and New Jersey on there. It's amazing.
Unbelievable.
And then they also have, this is another thing. Me and
Epic
Sean,
waste of
we
a
almost
scoreboard.
it's almost like trying to dodge cars and traffic.
Oh, yeah.
You go up top, they have these huge curtains that you have to go through.
In between, the paths, for when you, when you just go into your seat. Here's a viable option to what you can.
He
use.
can't even talk. He's so upset.
Here's a list of viable options. You can just leave it wide open, so you can just walk through. That one makes sense and it's cheap. So I like that option. But we skipped on that one for whatever reason. Okay, there's a few more. Make maybe a clear thing that you can open. That would also make sense. Of all things, do not put a curtain.
There's a
heavy
there's a big
curtain
black dense velvet curtain
that you
cannot
see
open.
Through, and then you yank the curtain. Someone runs into you and they're carrying food and stuff. It's a trying.
This is great for the 1% of our listeners that have ever been to Trenton's, whatever it's called, NJISC.
I think we actually have 1% of listeners actually listening.
It's called the Sunbank Center.
Is it?
But the NJSIAA is the New Jersey Interscholastic Athletic Association.
And they own that, right?
Who's that?
Do they own that?
No, it's privately. It's owned by Trenton.
Okay. Watch, the Knicks will end up playing at Wildwood.
Oh, let me tell you this too. There's another pet peeve I have about this place. When you
another one?
Yeah.
Oh God.
When you park there, you can't just park. They make all the cars push up against each other.
It's like going a point for the day.
Oh boy,
You can't. Like I like parking in a spot where I can pull out, and you don't have a million cars. But there's a guy that they pay. They have a parking attendant, then they pay another guy to make sure that
you're actually paying to do this.
they make sure that the cars.
It's like going to Point Pleasant. No,
That's
I remember
going to Bayhead.
I remember 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I went to Point Pleasant, and
Point stories. Here we go.
And we were getting back in the car because we were going to go to Seaside Heights after.
That's just another rookie mistake.
It's not a rookie mistake.
Seaside sucks.
I grew up in Seaside, dude. Don't bash my town. I won't bash yours. How about that?
Seaside, okay.
The only thing that I'm bashing about Point is all the cars were pushed up against each other. Yeah. One hit my friend's car.
Yeah, accurate.
And we're just like, really?
Oh, boy.
All right.
Gotta go to Bayhead.
We gotta take a quick break here on SMC Sports. We'll wrap up the last 10 minutes when we get back from the break.
For another 10 minutes.
We'll rant about something else. Maybe about Hackgate. We never really got into that either. So, are they calling it Hackgate, or are people just saying that?
Too many gates.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll be back 973-655-4256. You're listening to SMC Sports. Back after this. All right.
Celtics.
52. Wait, what's Sean?
Boston signed Amir Johnson.
Oh, wow.
I love it. I love that deal.
52 minutes past the 3 o'clock hour. You're listening to SMC Sports. So we kind of done a lot in the last 2.5 hours. So we recapped a lot of MLB, a lot of NFL. Actually, not really. The one story that I don't think we got to yet was Russell Wilson.
Oh, yeah, we should do that.
So for the last 10 minutes, and James, you're shaking your head. Let's start off with you.
Can't stand Russell Wilson.
What?
I haven't said a positive thing on the show.
This should fill probably the next 7 minutes.
I don't think he's that good. I know.
I can agree with you with the money standpoint. Let me be the first to say I love Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
I love how he was basically the turning point in the Seattle organization.
The guy's great.
But
do you think Matt Hasselbeck's better?
What?
Because that was that was what they had before.
Get out!
Get out!
I don't think Russell Wilson's a guy you give $25 million
I agree.
a year to.
I agree.
He's not Peyton Manning.
Because you know what? When you do that, you could say goodbye to Bennett and you could say goodbye to Chancellor.
No,
and then you could say goodbye to your Legion of Boom after that.
Exactly.
What he has meant to the Seahawks has been so much more than just what he's meant to them on the field.
It's not a sentimental league.
And on the field, he's won a Super Bowl. So, I mean...
It took Aaron Rodgers a good 5 or 6 years to get the money he's being paid right now.
He's turned the team around. He's not going to get in trouble off the field. He's a genuine good guy that the fans get around. The fans love him. He's a fan favorite in Seattle. They... with all the great names and choices they have to buy jerseys, you see a ton of number 3 Wilson jerseys.
It doesn't matter. He's not a superstar.
I'm not arguing with that, Sean. Again, I love Russell Wilson. I love him. I love him, but I don't think he's worth $25 million. Not yet. Not yet, at least. Okay, you won 1 Super Bowl. Okay.
Why would you not want to lock the guy up? He deserves big money at some point.
You're going to lock him up, and they're going to pay him a lot of money. They're definitely going to overpay him, that's for sure. But he's not worth $25 million. Not yet. Even Aaron Rodgers, the year he won the Super Bowl, he wasn't that great. Green Bay snuck in. He had an unbelievable postseason.
Green Bay was just hot at the time when they got in.
Right place, right time. They got hot at the right time. Yeah. Agreed. He wasn't that great in 2009, 2010. 2010, he bounced back with I'm sorry, that was 2010, 2011. 2011, 2012, he bounces back, goes 15-1.
Yeah.
Okay, then it's like, all right, you're probably one of the best here. We're going to pay you for it. So when you talk about that, as Justin Frask is now making his way in studio, I have no problem saying it. But you take a look at Russell Wilson, he's not worth that money yet. He's been in the league for, 4 years? He's won a Super Bowl. He's been to 2.
He's proven himself.
You're right. He's proven himself to have the money, and he's going to be overpaid. I no doubt in my mind believe that. He's not worth $25 million a year.
Totally. Could not agree with you more. Could not agree more, Sean.
And because you know what? Seattle's in a deal where they got to be careful about this, too. They're going to overpay him, but if you give him this money, which I could completely agree with you, Sean, saying it could happen, say goodbye to Michael Bennett. Yeah. Say goodbye to Cam Chancellor. Say goodbye to your championship team.
They know that this isn't going to be able to last forever as far as these guys. It's something they've been dealing with, ever since they won the first one, that this core is really unsustainable. And so they're trying to get the most out of it, and you need Wilson there to be the one guy that stays. The quarterback's the one position that you want to be able to keep and have that sustainability.
I mean, you do have Jimmy Graham
go
now,
back, and go back around.
Do you think Russell Wilson wins the Super Bowl on any other team?
Yes.
Really?
What teams?
He's not going to bring a bad team to the Super Bowl. But
do you think he wins the Super Bowl on the Giants the year Manning won the Super Bowl?
That's a good question.
I think he could.
I think he's a perfect system quarterback, and you don't pay a system quarterback.
I think he's a system quarterback, but in a system that it's not too gimmicky. If you like,
I mean, you have one of the three best running backs in the league.
It's not TCU, just spinning quarterback to hand the ball off.
Boykin, yeah.
But
stop bashing TCU.
I like TCU. No, I mean,
but I mean, you have one of the top 3 running backs in the league. You probably have the best defense in the league.
Who's on the team for another 2 years?
The way they run the offense, they don't have superstar wide receivers. They get him outside the pocket where he has a simple read to make.
Exactly, it's simple. It's all simple for Russell Wilson, the third-round pick.
It's simple, but he does it correctly. How many quarterbacks you see mess up the easy things?
I'm just saying you don't pay.
I agree with you, James. Russell Wilson is not Aaron Rodgers. Not yet. One day he could be.
But they're completely different quarterbacks. We should not be comparing Wilson and Rodgers.
If you take just simply quarterback play, I don't think he's in the top half of the league.
Rodgers to me is the epitome of what a quarterback should be. He's
Rodgers?
Yeah, he's
hands down. That's why he's getting the money he should be getting.
He can throw from any arm shot, any feet.
Okay, but he's not Brady. He's not Luck. He's not Peyton. Right, so that's so he's not in the top 5.
There's a reason that Rodgers is getting $22 million a year, and there's reasons that Wilson isn't. Okay, and now Wilson said he's going to play the last year of his contract, whether he resigns or not this year.
Yeah.
So he's going to play the last year of his rookie contract.
Because he's such a good guy.
Don't get me wrong, he carries himself very well. I love the way he talks to the press. He's one of those quarterbacks who has that talent that can talk to the press.
You want a guy like that, and on your team.
Agreed. And Seattle's going to overpay him.
Yeah.
But he's not worth $25 million. I'm sorry. He's not worth $25 million.
Maybe not 25. I don't know. I never can argue specific numbers of things because let's face it, it's hard to justify any of these mega contracts as far as do they actually deserve certain.
I mean, what is Eli getting paid, like $96 million,
something like that.
But is he even worth $18 million a year? You think Russell Wilson? Yeah, I think he's worth maybe $10 million a year.
No, I'd say
18 million. I would say would be the number they overpay him for.
17.
If they lose Lynch this offseason, this team doesn't make the playoffs.
No,
but they kept Lynch, obviously.
Now with Graham though, without Lynch, there's a possibility that they could sneak in.
That is true. I did forget about Jimmy.
I do have to. This year, I do have to give it to Arizona though. If that team's healthy.
Yeah, I like this Cardinals team.
I liked the Cardinals team last year. You and I, for once, agreed on something, saying the Cardinals would have made the Super Bowl with that team being healthy.
Yep.
They would have been the team to be in the Super Bowl.
With Carson Palmer, you think?
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
But just for my personal thing before we go off the air and Tropical Storms comes on next, my personal belief with this, he's not worth $25 million a year. They're going to overpay him. If they give him this deal, say goodbye to Legion of Boom, total death for the Seattle team in the future. Guys, that's going to wrap up SMC Sports for this week. Sean and Jim, thanks for making the trip up here.
Thank you, appreciate it. Yep.
James, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, it was a pleasure.
We'll be back hopefully.
I hope all 3 of you
unless
are back.
You're banned.
This was great.
We're gonna ban Jim for saying that the Mets are gonna make the playoffs or something.
I'm gonna ban you for just banning on Jim. I don't know.
Yeah,
but, I don't know what I was trying to do.
But no, James,
anyway.
I appreciate you coming on
with me.
Yeah,
it was great.
More than welcome anytime.
Thank you
especially
very
if you're up here. Hopefully you can find a building next time.
Yeah.
So
this campus can be confusing.
It can be,
it's
but at the same time, very.
You guys have like 5,000 parking spots and a huge hill that you have to climb. And
the parking permits are today, right?
Only like
build the place. What?
The resident parking things go on sale today.
August 1st, I think.
Okay.
So as we hit the top of the 4 o'clock hour, we're going to wrap up. Yeah. Tropical Storms with Justin Frasca is on next, and we will see you guys next week.